All right, what's up, everybody? How's everybody doing today? Canes, first guy in the chat. What's up? We're actually going to be joined by maybe a few special guests tonight. Like I said, we're going to have a big leaguer in here who will be joining relatively soon. We all got kids, man. You know, got to get to make sure those kids are asleep first. But let me pull up obviously some of the games that are going on right now. Barks checking in. Appreciate you doing these every day. Yeah, no worries, Barks. I mean, I have fun doing it, man. Nancy, I'm here singing Oklahoma right now. Okay. All right. Everybody's checked in now. Dude, the live on YouTube takes too long. Are you talking about the intro screen, Dusty? It goes live on every platform at the same time. I just let that intro play for like 5 minutes while people join. So what is our last game on the docket? Mott Hyde. Wow, Mott joining the stream tonight. Okay, Mott. All right. Mott joining the stream. Two-time ACC champion Mott Hyde in the chat, guys. All right. Who sent Mott the link? That's what I want to know. Who sent Mott the link? A consistent 10-minute delay? Well, if that's the case, it wouldn't even be on right now because the stream's only been on for 5 minutes and 50 seconds. All right, what's the next ACC? Mott's getting banned, Polka says. What is the next ACC game on the schedule? We got Gators Ole Miss at 9 o'clock and Boston College, Virginia. Will Young sent it to Mott. That's probably Mott. That's probably Mott. And you know what? Mott probably forgot to log out of his account, and now he's exposed himself because Will Young's account was made 2 days ago on YouTube. Pretty obvious troll. Pretty obvious troll. But glad to have you in the chat, Mott. Or should I say Will Young? If Liam Doyle and Tennessee beat Texas tomorrow, are they hosts? I don't know. That's a good question. That's a good question, Zach. I do not know. I think the question is, like, how many games do you have to win in a conference tournament to impact your overall placement? Right. So if you're one of the first four or last four out or last four in, if you lose game one, does that impact you? If you're like one of the first four out and you win 2 games, are you back in? That is actually Mott. I brought him in. I know that's Mott. I'm just saying, I think Will Young, I think we may have discovered who Will Young is. Unless Will Young made his account on YouTube 2 days ago. That's what I want to, that's what I'm trying to figure out. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Will Young is not Mott. It remains Polka, in my opinion. Polka's told me it's not him. So I don't know who else it could be. Mott isn't answering, so I'm going to go with it's a yes. Dusty, with all respect, you DKSAF. Oh, always tough to open the Zen can and realize you have less than you thought. Hey, you're not wrong there. You're not wrong there. That is a tough thing. That is tough. So we got about, I don't know what the official start time. Zach, maybe you can help me out with this. What the official start time is for these upcoming games. Florida, obviously. Who is it? Who's Florida playing? Florida and Ole Miss and Boston College and Virginia. That's what we need to. That's what we need to see. We need to know what those start times are. Obviously, those will be coming up at some point soon. Witherspoon shutting down Georgia looks like a top 10 pick. Oh, the Georgia game's on. Yeah, he's legit, man. He is legit. Okay, dude, I totally forgot that Georgia and Oklahoma were playing right now. I was like, what game are we going to watch? What inning is it? Let's see. Both probably won't start for a while. I don't know. The Pitt game's almost over, but you're right. It's definitely not going to start at 9. It'll probably be like 9:25 or something. It's me. Scare game when you least expect it. Or that's how we know it's Mott. That's only something Mott Hyde would know. I'm going to turn this brightness down for a second. I'll be right back. All right. There we go. Maybe that's worse. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, that's worse. That's worse. We're just going to roll with it today. We're just going to roll with it. ACC tournament way behind. Yeah. 45 minutes after these current games end. Yes, Witherspoon is legit. According to Mr. Wren, Isaacs, and Palka, the Hurricanes are cheaters. Do you feel the same way? Mott, that's a question to you. That is a question to you. 3-1 Oklahoma, top of the 7th. Georgia's bats have, and again, that's tough to do. I mean, Georgia's got one of the best offenses, if not the best offense in the country, especially from a power perspective. Wes Johnson, congratulations to Wes Johnson inking the fresh extension today. No doubt Mississippi State was scared, or not Mississippi State, sorry. Georgia was scared of potential jobs at schools coming after Wes Johnson. Don't sleep on Tambora finding the binoculars in the parking garage many years ago. Yeah, I mean, Canes, there's, the thing is this, Canes, there are so many stories of, from that perspective of Miami, doing things like that. That's just what it is. We talked about that, Kyle. Leverage at its finest. Yeah, I mean, that's what these coaches, I know for a fact, because I have been told that these coaches literally will text Kendall Rogers and tell him if you want info, you're going to put me on that coaching, search, or the, top 5 candidates for the job, and just to use it as leverage, just to be go to their AD and be listen, if Mississippi State comes calling, I'm gonna answer the phone and I'm gonna see what they have to offer. So it's 100%. That's 100% what happens. Dusty, let's test if our bats were juiced. Canes, I saw the bat graphic today, if that's what you are referring to. Yeah, that bat graphic was crazy. And again, we don't know. I mean, it's not like an equal percentage of teams use this each bat, right? I think. If someone can DM me that tweet, because I did think it was an interesting one, but obviously the Louisville Sluggers hit a bunch of home runs. But that also could be that, Tennessee's swinging Louisville Slugger, or Georgia this year, or Wake Forest, teams that have hit a bunch of home runs. And you just get a few of those swinging the same bat, like it's going to make a big difference. That bat graphic is skewed. Yeah, that's what I thought too. I mean, because it doesn't tell you how many teams are swinging that bat. It just shows this many home runs was hit by teams using the bat. And again, it could be a whole lot. It could be totally different. It could be a decent number of teams are swinging the Louisville Slugger bat more than all the other bats. There's 2 Nike Miami Hurricane bats on eBay from 2008-2011. Promised big leaguer will be on soon. He will be on soon. He is preparing notes and making sure his kids are asleep. And so he will be joining shortly. They're $99 online. Really? That's interesting. Miami cheated until JD was head of the club. He's an honorable man. Georgia's made 2 errors on the night too. I'm sure that's led to at least 1 run. So the question is, how long is Witherspoon going to be in the game? Can he throw a CG? In today's game, probably not going to happen. And then, can Georgia get to the bullpen? How does that make sense, Daniel? Is this big leaguer reputable? For example, did he almost win Rookie of the Year or anything? Yes. From what research I've done, he was one of the top Rookie of the Year vote candidates, from what I've heard. His best friend is also Alex Cora. He was a part of the program since 2005. Daniel, they cheated with Jim Morris. Nancy. Yeah. I'll say it like this. In 2010, or it might have been fall 20... No, it was 2010. One of their freshman All-Americans, or a freshman All-American in the 2009-2010 season, that summer or next fall, was caught by an underage cop selling drugs on campus. And when the cops searched his residence, wherever he lived, they found not only more contraband, but they found vials of HGH as well. So yeah. Yep. Yes. Go back 2 to 3 months ago. We went on a 20-30 minute deep dive into it. Yeah, and then there's stories like James Ramsey would tell you a story about when he was, I don't know if when he was the volunteer back at Florida State when he was done playing, or if he when I think it was back when he was done playing. And they were radioing pitch signs at Miami, and all of a sudden over the walkie-talkie they heard like change up, and so they had ended up being on the same frequency, and they had accidentally like not switched back to Miami's frequency, and they were relaying it. So there's that, and then there's the story Dusty brought up where like there's a guy in the parking deck in right center with binoculars, like trying to get the catcher sign. So there's a long history of anyone in the game that's been around at that, like certainly in like the early 2000s and like up to about 20, like seems like 2017, 2018. Like it was a well-known thing that when you went to Miami, you had to use like special signs from the catcher. You had to be very careful with walkie-talkies. Like that was just a thing you did in the dugout. Like you had to be very careful. And then a lot of their guys were juicing. Like that was just, especially in the mid 2000s and probably earlier than that. A lot of guys were juicing. So, I mean, that Miami has like a history of that. And again, I'm sure like JD is probably not doing that, but that definitely happened. So that's why I've been telling Kyle I'm ready to do whatever it takes to get back on top. If we need to juice, spy, whatever it takes, let's get back to winning ball games. Daniel Palka, that is going to be your job when we hire you. Dan, Canes carries a lot of weight in the Miami program, all right? So you need to get on Canes' good side. That is the only reason I got, I'll say, crushed for 8 earned over 3 1/3. Nothing else. Yeah, it was it's crazy how the Miami guys were just all over our pitchers every time we went down there. Hubby was recruited by him when he was at DeKalb. He came to Tech instead. Coach Luck. Okay. Well, when you're still pumping 97 at 86 pitches, you're going early in the draft. Yeah, sure, Dusty. It wasn't the 95-degree heat. Yeah, I think he's kind of being sarcastic, but that is a thing. Nancy, what high school did your husband go to? My father-in-law is Southwest DeKalb County and also played some ball in his day. You weren't out at the club space the night before partying. No, Dusty was not doing that. Were there probably some guys on our team doing that? Probably, but usually that was most of the time. I don't want to say that. Most of the time it wasn't the guys starting, but sometimes it was. But dude, he's going to go if he gets a quick out here. I mean, he's definitely coming back for the 8th inning. Georgia's in trouble. Unfortunately, not partying, just got baptized right there at Marklight Field. Baptized by fire. Baptized by the Hurricanes. Wow, my camera finally adjusted. Did you guys see that? Usually it auto adjusts. It took like 10 years to adjust. Wow, now I actually look normal. It's okay, Dusty. It even happened to Jamie Arnold. That's right. Jamie Arnold got tore up by the Hurricanes. Yeah, Witherspoon is throwing 88-mile-an-hour sliders and 97 miles per hour in the 7th inning at 89 pitches. So I think he's coming back for the 8th inning. And good luck, Georgia. I think Georgia's wishing they face Kentucky right now. Avondale. Okay. Witherspoon mixes his pitches so well. Kyle, get over the camera. Good Lord, nothing has changed in 4 months. Witherspoon mixes his pitches so well. Yeah, he pitches off his fastball, but like he knows what to do with his slider. It tunnels really well off his fastball, just kind of goes straight down. Witherspoon is big time. Anyone who knows anything can watch 10 pitches and see it looks right. Yeah. Yeah, he's legit. He should go top 10 picks for sure. No question. When you're carrying that velocity that late in a game, that's big league. That's big league. Because a lot of guys you see around the 4th or 5th inning, they lose a couple on their fastball. I mean, he's still throwing 97. Guys, we have a guest joining right now. Here he is.
Kyle, what is the music sounds even worse on this end?
It's all right. It's all right. Guys, we got Daniel Palka in the stream tonight talking baseball, all right?
Where's Dusty at?
Dusty is not in yet, but he will be joining soon. So we got a former big leaguer, Daniel Palka. First team All-American, Georgia Tech Hall of Famer in the stream. We also should be joined soon by an ACC Network analyst and stopper of the year in the ACC, Dusty Isaacs. Don't sleep on Pitt or Cal, baby. Yeah, I mean the worst seeds in the tournament right now, Dan, are killing it, aren't they?
I think Cal's a dark horse.
Dude, they're off. I mean, the question for Cal, I think, is their offense looks really good. So, I mean, they're putting up double-digit runs in both games, but do they have the pitching after two straight games?
Anyone can win the conference tournament. Like, look at our sophomore year. We were probably 8th place in the ACC that year.
Yeah, we were the 8th seed out of 10. We were the lowest seed at that time.
We weren't getting
the ACC championship. We were the lowest seed at that time to win the ACC championship. Will Young says, "Hey Dan."
Hey Dan.
Wow, let's go. Wow, nice get, ESA/Kyle. Canes, Dan is not talking scholarship numbers on stream. I got him right here where I want him.
Canes, I don't even know what scholarship numbers mean, dude.
Yeah, he doesn't even know what you're talking about. He doesn't know. He has no idea what that is.
Is he talking about how some of these schools are given the whole team a scholarship? Like there's
he's just talking about for next year. Like obviously, like for example, Arizona State's going to full 34 scholarships. Every player on the roster gets a full ride.
Yeah, I saw Arizona State doing it.
Miami's going up to like, according to Canes, I think 22. So that'll be big for Miami. You know, I think Clemson is probably going to all full rides from what I've heard. Most of the SEC is going to be in the mid-20s or even higher.
I think a lot of the ACC, except for BC, I bet Tech doesn't do it.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, who knows?
I think, and that's the question, and for a lot of ACC schools, like I know, like Virginia Tech, from what we've heard, is not going to go up in scholarship money. So the question is, like, over the next couple years, is Clemson going to pull away in the SEC? Is Florida or in the ACC? Is Florida State going to pull away? Because there are a lot of ACC schools that aren't going to be like Miami going to 22. They're going to have, I think, in the ACC, one of the higher scholarship numbers. Zach, what does Dan think of that South Walton pitcher signed to Georgia Tech? The Charlie Wilcox kid that we talked about in the group text, Dan? What do you think?
I don't know. It's scary because those dudes never make it to campus.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
He definitely looks like the type of guy who will get picked early enough in the draft to not make it to campus.
I don't know though. I mean, we've seen one video on him. We don't really know anything about him.
Yeah.
But I mean, granted, he's throwing
a breaking ball for strikes, and he's throwing
90
mid-90s. So
yeah,
like, and
97.
he's got a good frame.
Mott, I went to Calhoun High School. This is Calhoun.
Yeah, Mott, that's a Calhoun High School T-shirt.
So is Mott Will Young?
We don't know who Will Young is. We really don't. I heard Tech
Will
Will
Young-
do all full rides.
Will Young comments, and then Mott does right after.
I can tell you that is probably not true, Will Young. How is Tech not going to go up if the Fighting Zeeks are going to 18? Yeah, Kent State is going to 18, from what I've been told.
Definitely will
Again,
go
I
up.
think Georgia Tech, the hope is that Georgia Tech would go up some, but I don't think it's going to be a massive number.
You can go up and be super competitive and not have them all covered, too.
Yeah.
You don't have to do everybody. Like,
Well, my point is if you go to 17, you can give everybody 50%. And then with academic money on top, like Georgia Tech is the thing that's good for Georgia Tech is it's a very cheap school, tuition wise. So like if you go to 17, you can give everybody 50% and then some academic stuff on top. Like you're competitive at 17, and that's not a huge jump from 11.7. But I mean, I guess it is like a 50% jump.
well, everybody's cheap in state, dude.
Yeah, but even out of state, I mean, Georgia Tech, like, think
How?
about it like this: like Miami's private, so Miami's really expensive, so they need to go up big. Your other schools in the ACC, like Boston College, really expensive. Duke, really expensive.
We need Dusty in on this. It was like $40,000 a year for us.
Was it really out of state?
I'm pretty sure it was close. I mean, Dusty would probably remember better.
Tuition for me in state when I went back to finish my degree at Georgia Tech was, I'm not kidding, it was like $7,000.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
Yeah, it's
I
crazy.
I have in-state now, but I didn't have it in high school, obviously.
Yeah. Nancy said that's besides NIL. Yeah, that's besides NIL. But again, like a lot of the funding that could be like necessarily donated for NIL could be used just for scholarship money. But yeah, certainly like Nancy, programs like Arizona State who are going to all full rides, they're going to have NIL on top of that. So like it's just going to be something to keep an eye on over the next few years for teams. Like how competitive can they be if you don't go up a decent amount in scholarships, in total scholarships. Miami is doing 22. That is 60% kids. Still have to come out of pocket a lot of cash. Yeah. So 60% at Miami, if everybody gets 60%, you're still paying a good chunk.
I just remember mine had to have been at least 30,000. I know that
Yeah.
because I paid for it after, and whatever my scholarship was, I know.
Well, you were probably on a full ride, huh, Dan?
No,
You had a big. What scholarship did you come in on though, for real?
80.
80?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So I was
because-
25%.
That's because for me to get that got me close to in-state tuition.
Yeah.
Like the whole reason I was committed to Clemson was because it was going to cost nothing to go there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm just thinking of it, long run. I never
Yeah.
wanted to go there. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't, and I also didn't think that Tech would offer me like what I wanted.
Yeah. And that is the case. Like, if you're going to recruit out-of-state guys, you kind of and recruit a decent amount of them, you have to offer those guys bigger money because, like you said, it's like Tech in-state is as cheap as it can get, but out-of-state it's still, it's still a good amount of money. So you have to offer those guys bigger money. I'm sure Dusty. We're joined by Dusty Isaacs now coming into the chat.
Oh my gosh, look at the analyst.
ACC Network analyst Dusty Isaacs, former stopper of the year in the ACC, is now live.
Boys, what's up?
Dusty, what was your scholarship coming into Georgia Tech? What percentage were you on?
I came in at 50, ended at 60.
And then after freshman year, you got bumped up to 60, right?
Yeah, you're hitting the hard hitting questions pretty fast. I just got here.
Well, we're talking scholarships, and because I remember me and you particularly after our freshman years, I think we were in the same meeting with DH, and you told us we were getting bumped up because I went from 25 to 50.
Well, Dusty, this all started because Kyle said Georgia Tech's relatively cheap for out of state, and I was like,
Actually, it's quite expensive.
it felt very expensive. But I mean,
what was out of state, Dusty, for you? Dan was saying it was
I think it was like 38.
38.
Yeah, I knew.
So Dan was right. Dan said it was like right at 40.
I thought it was 40. I thought it was like 42 a year. But I mean, that might have just been because I got such a nice apartment. You know,
It's probably
they pay. Yeah, they got that nice apartment.
me and Kyle got that really nice apartment on East Street, so
because you're better than me.
it was a little bit better than everyone else's.
Yeah. Mott says, "What the hell is a stopper?" Can you give us a definition for that, Dusty?
I guess if you're not good at pitching in the rotation, you're a stopper.
Yeah.
Well, what's the stat? What's the stat with pitchers that holds?
Holds. Yep.
Is that what the stopper is, or is
Yes.
the stopper the closer?
I just think stopper is like, because I guess in college baseball, like for a lot of teams, it's like you can't wait till the ninth inning to bring in your closer a lot of the time. So it was a way to basically, it's your best bullpen arm, essentially, is your stopper. You know, like kind of Patel's been that. Payton was that. But Patel's not really a closer, right? But he is kind of the guy like to put out the fire. So it's kind of what it
That's
is.
kind of like a bullpen ace.
Whatever Patel is, I hope he keeps doing what Patel is, because that's been crazy.
Yes. In-state guys can get Hope Scholarship too, Nancy said. Yeah, so that's why like I was on 25% coming in with Hope. Hope was like right at 70%. So basically I had 95% of my school paid for. But then after freshman spring, I lost Hope, so they bumped me up to 50%.
How do you lose hope, dude?
Well,
I was focused on remember guys, baseball, school first, baseball second. You guys remember that coaching from one of our coaches?
I do remember that now that you're saying that.
Tied it up, huh?
Nancy said this is fun for a GT fan that watched y'all play.
Kyle, look, I got them all going.
Yeah, Dusty's got the 3 screens going. He's got every game on.
Yeah, but would you expect
tied
anything
it
else
up?
from an
Zach
analyst?
said.
What?
Would you expect anything else from an analyst?
That's right. I'm always watching.
Yeah, I mean Dusty. How did you not get the call for the ACC tournament?
Oh, they're saving me for the supers.
Dusty, is there any chance that you get to do a regional?
No, I don't think so. I'm so they have what they call digital and linear, and I'm just a digital analyst. So anytime it flips over to anything outside of the ACC Extra,
Do they not realize that you're better at calling the games than probably 90% of people that call games on ESPN's ACC, all that
I appreciate that.
for college?
We need Dusty to replace Devin
It's
Travis.
Zach, I hear you, buddy. Hey,
Jordan says star-studded cast tonight, fellas.
I'd like to see Jordan come on. Jordan's supposed to do the hedges around my house.
Yeah, Jordan. Dan said you're supposed to do the hedges around his house, and he hasn't seen you come around yet.
so Kyle, I'm a little unfamiliar with this setup. Is there any way for us to still contribute to the chat, or is it?
If you're in your bottom right corner, maybe you can chat. I don't know. If not, you have to go.
I can't chat. If I can't get to Zach and Canes, I'm nothing.
If you can pull it up maybe on like another window and chat
Okay.
that way.
How do I get this on my Twitter?
You just retweet my post.
Yeah, but dude, I wanted to say I'm live.
Yeah, we'll say quote tweet it and say I'm live
No.
on the stream. Join in.
I want the
White
pink
Sox
thing.
fans,
I want-
all join, please.
I want the pink thing around my name.
At least Danny Wexelman isn't calling games. All we're missing is Harold. Do I make a phone call and call him? Harold Martinez.
Dude, Harold is a really good dude. I think Canes thought I was messing yesterday.
Yeah.
I met that guy in Pro Ball. He's like the nicest guy on earth.
I've heard that. Can y'all get James
It's
Ramsey
a little
on?
fishy.
Man, we can try. We can try. He's a hard man to get a hold of.
So
And
Kyle,
I'm sure
let's
he's
talk-
locked in. I'm sure he's locked in scouting video right now in the hotel room.
Kyle, let's talk a little. Let's go back to Duke Pitt.
Yeah,
Big
so
moment.
Duke just tied it up, right?
Yeah.
There's no way.
I
no
mean-
way Pitt holds that.
But we think Duke's in regardless, right?
Yeah, Duke is in for sure. Duke is in. But even if they lose, they're in. But again, it's so weird because I feel like there's so many teams that, like, if Duke goes on to win the ACC championship, do they find a way to host?
Well, it's hard to think so, right? After you, does that mean is that at the expense of Georgia Tech? If so, how do you head to head?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It seems like this year there's so many teams that the question is like, well, if they win the ACC championship, or if they win 3 games in the SEC tournament, or if they win the SEC championship, are they back in the host? Are they back in the host position? It seems like this year more than any year, there's a lot of teams that like the tournament games seem to matter more this year than any year before. Mott wants to know, can anyone do a good Brad Feger impression?
Hey, does Canes remember Brad Feger?
Oh, Kane's nose figure.
Yeah, Canes knows Feger. Will Young, Duke is hosting over Georgia Tech right now, I believe.
Hey, Canes. Do you know Mott roomed with B-Rad in Pro Ball?
Mott was really good friends with Brad Feger.
I feel like we lost
No,
Canes.
no, not Brad Feger. Brad.
Radzikowski.
Yep.
I don't know how to say his last name.
The lefty pitcher.
Yeah, lefty.
Dude, that guy was so good
Yeah, he was really good.
in college.
Yes.
He was unhittable. He was Carlos Rodon that freshman year.
He was like, I think he was a freshman All-American, right?
many wins
He
did
was
he
like
have
he was their
freshman year?
Friday night guy too.
How many wins did that guy have freshman year? Look that up, Kyle.
Golly, that's going to be a deep dive here. Let me look.
No,
You guys got to respond to chat while I'm doing this.
2011 win leader. He led the ACC in wins.
He was a really good pitcher. You know who else, Dan? I was telling Canes about. Canes was talking about Siskar being the best freshman pitcher. To be fair, he was mostly talking the last 10 years. But I said, what about Andrew Suarez? Remember him?
No, but all I remember about Miami is like that was a really like hitting wise. You did not look forward to facing Miami. Their starting pitching was unbelievable.
Yeah,
But I don't remember the bullpen. They would always have 3 lefties, and they weren't just like stop their own.
Okay. Let me see. I found it. Okay, so Dan, this was Brad Radzowski's freshman year stats. He went 9-2, 3.35 ERA,
Maybe it was
91 innings pitched. Like, think about that. How many guys in college baseball this year are going to have 90 innings pitched? He had 91 innings pitched, 87 hits given up, 37 walks, 92 strikeouts. Gave up 2 home runs, albeit in a different era. Miami's pitching staff as a whole that year gave up 26 home runs. That would be the best. That would be the best by a mile in this era of college baseball,
I mean, we had the worst bats that were ever invented.
and the worst balls.
All right,
we were using the high seam, like loosely wound.
Dude,
Eric
was
Whaley
bad
was
for
on that team
pitching,
too.
though.
Remember, he had a 2.7 ERA as a starter.
Dusty, you would argue that those high seam balls were just as bad for pitchers.
No, yeah, when you get to AAA in the big leagues, they have the lower seams. The NCAA balls are way harder to spin. Way harder.
Yeah.
So Kyle, let's get into a little bit about the host situation as we know it, right? What teams have lost that were projected to be fringe hosts that it kind of hurt them? You know what I mean?
Well, I think we'd have to check on. I know UCLA won. So UCLA has probably solidified their host position. We need to check on TCU and we need to check on Southern Miss because those were and as well as Georgia Tech, those were the 4 hosts that seemed to be the most contentious. Your 12, your 13 through 16 hosts. So let's look up. Let me pull up D1 baseball and just see what TCU has done today.
And the other thing to note, Kyle, while you're doing that is Virginia needed a strong showing, and they lost today.
Yeah.
But I still think Virginia's in.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dan.
Virginia just, dude, they've looked, and it's conference tournament. Anything can happen, but I feel like if they leave them out and they put in a Notre Dame, it's like they're just doing a disservice to.
Yeah, 100%. Virginia should be in over Notre Dame. You have to take into consideration they missed 3 games. Okay, we got to ban someone in chat here. Pay no mind to the.
Well, I find it interesting that person comes in right after Jordan messages.
Yeah, trolls are gonna troll. That's a ban. Thank you, Wiley. Guys, if you could just chat to knock that out of the screen, please. Yeah, I blocked. Don't worry, I blocked. But for some reason, it doesn't. Let me see if I pull the chat overlay and then put it back. No, it's still gonna be up there. So you guys just need to chat.
Wow, that's something, man.
This is what you get when you do live streams.
That's insane.
But I think Virginia for sure has to be in. They went well above 500 in ACC play. They missed 3 games against Florida. Someone said even if Virginia had gotten swept at Florida State, their RPI would have gotten better. So the reality is if they win 1 game, they're going to be fine.
Well, how bad does it look if everyone in the ACC gets upset leading
Duke
up
with the walk-off?
Wow, how about that?
Okay, so Duke with the walk-off. Okay.
The Panthers are eliminated. They have no chance of making the NCAA tournament. Keep going, Dan. What were you saying?
Well, that kind of befuddles everything right there. I was going to say, what if all of these Cal's got 2 upsets.
Yep.
If all these lower end teams keep winning in the ACC, that gives everyone more reason to just downplay what we did. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
Which I just can't understand being. It's like, oh well, they didn't have as good of a schedule as this team, but it's like, well, they took care of business. What else is there?
Yeah, what I said is, they swept Stanford, but Stanford beat UNC. Stanford beat UNC at UNC. Stanford also swept, I forget who their first series was against or second series, but we could play that game a bunch of different ways. At the end of the day, Georgia Tech swept teams they should have swept. They beat teams they should have beat. They very easily could have swept Clemson. The series was that close. So I just think Georgia Tech, at the end of the day, you have to say, they have to be a host.
Okay. Hey, full stop right there. I'm so sick of if you win the ACC regular season, you are a host. And I told you the data sheet does not lie.
Yeah.
If you've won the ACC for the past, and before it was 2 divisions, right?
Yes.
Last 10 years, if you win either division, you're a national host. Or I'm sorry, you are a host.
Yeah.
Most of the time, you're a national host. So that's all there.
Can we find? Were we ever able to find when an ACC winner wasn't a national host? Is that a thing?
I don't think that's a thing. I don't think that's a thing.
The data sheet doesn't go back far enough.
But okay, if we just think about, since
Zach's
been in school.
Zach's totally right. His last comment is huge. The better Virginia plays, and he also brings up a good point. And I texted Kyle and Dan this tonight. How do you do a alarm emoji? I have a prediction. I'm going to say it right now. Put me on
Throw
record.
some graphics up.
He's got to do it. He's trying to do it in the chat.
I
Throw
can't.
some graphics up on the screen.
I can't figure it out. There's too much shit going on.
What kind of show is this?
Here's my prediction. Mark it down. Zach, Canes, keep me honest. James Ramsey, head coach, Georgia Tech. Mike Bell, fired. Mike Bell, pitching coach, associate head coach at Georgia Tech next year. Book it. Kyle, thoughts?
I think it's an interesting take. I mean, I think it's like I think a lot of people believe Matt Taylor will probably be retained as pitching coach, but
Fair comment.
if for some reason that didn't happen, that would probably be the case if Mike Bell is no longer the head coach at Pitt.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And not that wasn't a slide at Matt Taylor. I just think that the roots run so deep with JR and Mike Bell.
Yeah.
It'd almost be like it would be hard to not do a solid by him.
Yeah.
Mike Bell's one of those people, though, if you can bring them on in any capacity, if you can afford them, like, it's pretty hard to, like, in any role. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
Matt
And that's why I've been
did
so
job this year.
obviously, it's no secret. I want Georgia Tech to hire James Ramsey, but I think it would be if they could somehow keep Strickland as a associate head coach, because Ramsey's going to need somebody to lean on. I mean, yeah, being the top assistant coach is great, but it's a whole new ball game running a program if you've never done it.
Yeah. Yeah. Nancy said that's why Tech needs to win tomorrow. Shut up the naysayers. Yeah, and I think, Nancy, I think the argument that what makes it different this year is you do have 2 extra teams in the ACC. So out of the 16, you only play 10 in the regular season. And what the naysayers are saying is that Georgia Tech did not play Florida State, did not play UNC, who are the 2 highest ranked teams in the ACC. So in their mind, they feel like Tech had a fairly easy schedule in the ACC. And again, like, no weekend is easy. There's a few teams that you should sweep in the ACC, but besides that, you know, they beat Louisville, second to last weekend of the year, top 20 team. They beat Duke when they're ranked 20. So that has to show that Georgia Tech's a better team than I think a lot of the people are letting on. But Zach is right. D1 baseball has been kind of a doubter on Georgia Tech all year.
But I mean, honestly, at the same time, it's Pitt. Like, you know, the expectations for baseball aren't crazy. Like, they know they need more resources.
But dude,
it's not Mike Bell who's the problem. Like, he doesn't have the resources to be competitive against either coaches who have had 20 years to build a program and build guys like robots like Virginia, or 20 years of Danny Hall. Like,
the program is in no better hands than it was before Mike Bell. It's basically been the same. You know.
Yeah, funny enough too. You're right. They had a couple 40-win seasons thrown in there.
Yeah, so it's
like
me,
they had
I have to imagine
14 in 2014. They were really good.
I don't know what year it was, but
I can't remember what year, but I think I think Dusty's right is, and you guys are right. Like what Dan was saying is that Pitt is a place right now where if you get the right group, and now with the portal, it's even harder because guys are just jumping ship. But before the portal, you could get every 3 or 4 years, Pitt would have an older team, experienced team that would overperform. It's just a hard program right now to win at a consistent level. Like, make the NCAA tournament every single year. Because like Dan said, there's just not a whole lot of support. It's in a region where there's a lot of talent in the Northeast, but all those kids want to go south. Like, they all want to go to warm weather states. They do not want to play in the Northeast unless they have to.
That's the entire problem. It's if you're Pitt, the rub is if you're Pitt, you hope to get guys that you think you can develop.
Yes.
So there's so much onus on the coaching staff getting guys who are, mid-major players and hope you develop them in 2 years.
Yes.
And then and you better hope you get 6 of them that you can do that too.
And that's the other issue is, and all the mid-major coaches will tell you it now, is that the issue is you get a freshman that you think, man, we found a diamond in the rough. Like, this guy's better than a lot of people think. He ends up being all conference as a freshman or all freshman team. Well, then he's bouncing in the portal to go to the SEC or go to a warm weather, higher ranked ACC.
You're essentially recruiting like you're at Kent State, but expected to perform like you're in ACC.
Yes.
And that's a tough ask. But Kyle, I want to do something since I'm on tonight that you don't normally do. I want to throw it to one of our highly valued listeners or highly valued viewers. I want to know. This is out to Zach. Zach, I'd like to hear. 2 questions? Are you worried about Miami, and do you think Georgia Tech should be a host, regardless if they win tomorrow or not?
It's a good question. Zach, we'll await your response.
I will wait.
Kane says now they can get the kids who want to come back home after they've been cut from an SEC/ACC team.
Oh, Kane's is back. We got Kane's back.
Yeah, Canes, we needed you a while back, and you weren't answering.
So Keynes is saying he thinks it's easier at Pitt now because a lot of kids, and I think Keynes, this is a good point. I think you make a good point here. It is becoming a more known thing that if you go to an SEC school or a bigger time ACC school, like there's a lot of really good players that are getting on campus, they're not playing at all, and they're cut or they're leaving after their freshman year. So might as well go to a school where you feel like you got a better chance to get on the field as a freshman. And if Pitt uses that in recruiting and says, listen, like if you can play, you're going to be in the lineup, maybe they can start winning over those guys in the Northeast that are really talented, because like Georgia Tech's gotten a lot of really good players from Jersey. Vandy's always recruited the Northeast really well. So a lot of these schools recruit the Northeast and get the best players out of the Northeast. And that's kind of been the issue for the Northeast schools in general, is that a lot of the best players, and the same thing is true on the West Coast, a lot of the best players on the West Coast are going to the SEC, they're going to the ACC. And for that to change, those schools have to really almost tell those kids, like, listen, like you come on campus and perform, you're going to play. But it's just tough in this environment with the portal. Wiley Ballard Enjoyer says, in the last 24 years, the ACC regular season champs have been top 8 seeds 19 times. So only 5 times have they not been a national host.
Pretty damning evidence right there.
Yeah. And I'd be interested to see the 5 teams that were not national seeds. Right. Hey, Wiley Ballard Enjoyer, let us know if you can figure out the 5 teams that did not make it as a national seed. Zach says, I have faith next year with Siskar and Darius. The question will be, can JD get elite bats, especially with Cuvée leaving after next year? 2021 Notre Dame. 2018 Clemson.
Well, hold on. Pause right there. Pause real quick. Kyle, 2021 was a weird year. That was the COVID year. So they only played, it wasn't a true ACC conference slate.
Was it?
Yeah. 2020 was wiped out. 2020 was a regulated. So that's an outlier. Maybe they were, maybe they weren't, but it's not a traditional ACC slate.
I just remember, like, there were definitely, maybe this is something, but I remember there were games like Notre Dame. It's weird because Notre Dame that year did not lose a series in ACC play. And I remember because we split Friday, Saturday against Notre Dame, and then on Sunday the game got canceled because of weather or something.
Here, I'm going to pull up the fucking data, the freaking data sheet,
the schedule.
Who was whooping everybody? It was Nico. What's his name? Nico Wallace.
Yeah, the big boy.
Yeah, the big first baseman, left-handed bat. It hit like 30 home runs.
Let me find the data sheet.
He's in the big leagues with the Angels, or
is he?
Play with them. He was with the Red Sox. I think he got traded to the Angels. Maybe it was Cavadas. Nico Cavadas.
Wiley Ballard is my data analyst.
Memos.
Yeah, one of my 2 data analysts, Wiley Ballard Enjoyer, and then Ratioed Nats fan. Those
Yeah.
are my two data
Kyle,
analysts.
Kyle, in 2021, the ACC teams played 36 conference games.
Well, shouldn't that have made it even more compelling, though?
Well, I don't know.
Like because I know for a fact in 21 Notre Dame did not lose an ACC series.
Well, I guess it's in all how you look at it, right? What if you had Georgia Tech scheduled this year and you had 5 bites at the apple of Pitt, Stanford, so maybe that's
Still, I just think, I mean, it's strange. It's strange. Like, because to me, if you play more ACC games, your RPI should be even better, right?
What do you think, Dusty?
Here's the gold.
Dusty's got the. Are you sharing? You want me to pull this up, Dusty?
No, this is for private eyes.
Okay.
Dusty, what do you think about what Lesnar said?
Zach says, Dusty, do you think the ACC should go back to divisions, 8 teams in each division, 7 games against division teams, and rotate non-division teams?
No, in my opinion, I think it's the fairest way to do it. It's almost like the way I think about it in an elementary level. It's like fantasy football. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need someone in the Atlantic Division winning 80% of the games. It's an equalizer. You know what I mean? It's like everyone's doing. You can compare. It's apples to apples. So no, I'm happy that it's in one singular division.
Yeah.
And that way you can see. It doesn't do me any good if on the coastal side, X team is, 18-12, and then on the other side where it's a bloodbath, the same caliber team is 15-15.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're right. Because if there's 2 divisions, if it's perceived that one division is an easier route, then that team gets kind of the treatment that Georgia Tech's getting right now. Canes, if Miami doesn't become Georgia, but on steroids next season, I will be calling for Josh Elander as head coach, Kyle as hitting coach, Daniel as director of player personnel or development.
I think we got to get Canes back down to earth. Like, Elander is at a school that just won the national championship.
I've said the same thing, Dan.
Potential host, like,
and also he's probably one of, if not the highest paid assistants in college baseball.
Yeah, it's like,
it's
like the same thing why Will Venables never left Clemson for so long. It's like, why would he go to Miami where he's gonna have to build something? If they have a bad year, which I don't think next year they're gonna have a bad year, I think they'll be fine. They'll be a top 6 team in the ACC for sure.
Yeah, I think Miami's got, if they hold on to their freshman arms and they get some bats in the portal and some good freshmen on campus, I think Miami will be, like you said, I think they'll be a top team in the ACC for sure.
Yeah, like they have a higher ceiling than they do a lower floor.
Yes,
but like Elander, dude. No matter how much money you got, like Tennessee is paying him more than what Miami's going to pay him as head coach. Like,
no chance.
Yeah.
But why would you leave when you got the best thing in college baseball going right now?
Yeah, you got crazy job security. You're making a lot of money. You're at probably what probably most would consider Tennessee's the number 1 program in college baseball right now.
Elander's going to take someone's job who retired.
Yeah.
Not that's in shambles.
Yeah. You don't take over a team.
And again, first, Dan wants Elander at Georgia Tech.
Dan wants what?
That's what Dan's saying. He wants Elander at Georgia Tech.
No, we're pretty.
Hey, Georgia gets a base runner with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th here. Hit by pitch, base runner on for Georgia.
What game, Kyle?
Georgia, Oklahoma. Bottom 9, 2 outs, runner on first base. Kane says, I'm telling you, man, we got the goods. Top 6, we better win the ACC next season. Smiley Ballard says, 5 ACC regular season champ non-national seeds. 2021 Notre Dame, 2018 Clemson, 2014 Miami, 2011 Georgia Tech, 2009 FSU. Now, we were co-regular season champs with Virginia.
Yeah, we didn't win it. We didn't. No. You know what?
22-8.
Virginia beat us in the series.
Yeah,
So,
Virginia beat us head to head. Yeah.
so we didn't get the outright. We didn't get any.
Holton was pretty hard to beat.
And also that same 2011 year, we lost
Midweek games.
80% of the midweek games.
Yeah,
you know?
midweek games killed us. That's why we weren't a national seed. It was
Okay, but let's not forget we were facing Chris Beck was throwing at Georgia Southern, who was their Friday guy, and Victor Roach was on that team.
Yeah, two first rounders.
Like that was a year where Georgia Southern, Georgia Tech. There was like
Mercer was good. Kennesaw State was good
because that 2009 class was ridiculous.
Georgia State was good.
That was probably the best year in Georgia college baseball that there ever was.
Yeah, Georgia was like one of the worst teams in the state that year.
Yeah.
Let's see here. UGA is eliminated. Oklahoma wins. Someone get me a time for the next game in ACC play coming up. Should be soon.
I think we're like 25 minutes out.
Zach Lesnar says Elander to A&M if Early doesn't survive. What do you guys think?
Early's coming back. Did you see the interview today, post game?
I did not.
Basically, they had I don't know if it was SEC Network, but it was very clear the guys were like, I think one of the quotes was, "We would die for Early," basically advocating he's not going anywhere. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, I'll say this. I think the AD is not going to make a decision based on what the players think, because that was kind of what the decision was made last year. But I'm with you, Dusty. I don't think he's gone. But I think it's like, hey, next year performance better be better.
And I don't think a program like that is hiring Elander.
Who do you think they're going after? Just a bigger time proven head coach?
I mean, it's going to be. I mean, that's a top 10 job.
That's a top 5 job, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So
that's a top 3 job.
Yeah.
They're going after proven 15 years. Again, I'm not saying it will be him, but guys like Cliff Godwin.
Yeah.
That have been at a successful big mid-major, or even a successful, I think Pollard would have a head start on that job more so than Elander.
Yeah.
What about so they beat Mississippi State, right?
Yes.
Who do they play next?
A&M will play. Let me pull it up.
You guys were talking about this, you were talking about this the other night.
Yeah, so A&M will play Auburn.
Defeated.
And then if they beat Auburn, they'll play LSU. So tough road for A&M.
Yeah, but dude, think about how you're talking about how defeated they are getting. What, they get swept by Missouri?
Yes.
That's insane too. But just seeing everything, because
they were the only team to lose to Missouri in the SEC regular season, and they got swept.
Kyle, did you see that Missouri's retaining the head coach?
Yes.
What are we doing?
And I thought that was for sure going to happen, just because the AD of a week or two ago in an interview said he was asked about baseball, and he said, we have not given them anywhere near the level of support they need to compete in the SEC. So I didn't think it was going to happen, but I think it's similar to the A&M situation. It's like, hey, next year, we need to see a performance increase. There needs to be a drastic improvement next year.
And that's fine, but you won how many games you won in conference? 3?
3. I mean, yeah, no, I mean, it was a terrible year.
You were 3
no getting around it.
3-27.
3-27. It's hard to imagine that happening.
Can't happen.
Yeah.
How are you going to make a drastic change next year, though?
You're right.
Where you are right now.
The only way you could, if all of a sudden Missouri says, here's $1.5 million in NIL money and added scholarships, go get a bunch of guys in the portal. That's the only way. That's the only way.
Yeah. To Dan's point, the resources have to be substantial.
Yes.
Does Missouri have it like that? Can they do that?
And that's the thing. He's going to be able to say, oh, I won 7 games. I went 7-23, and I did 2x my wins.
Yeah.
You have no leverage. I cannot believe they retained him.
Yeah. It is hard to believe. But again, when I saw that interview with the AD, I was like, okay, that's kind of
odd. It's kind of an odd hire, period. It wasn't like Memphis was
was
Like-
was okay at best.
Okay,
Okay at best.
but I mean, like, if you're coming in the SEC, you better. I mean, honestly, if in the past, if you're coming in the bottom of the SEC, like, you might be stealing a top ACC coach, a top pack coach when they were a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so kind of interesting.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Let's see here. Wiley Ballard and Joyer, who was the only second place ACC regular season champs team not to host? Or who was the only second place ACC regular season team to not host? And then Kane says, what will 1.5 million in the portal get you if Missouri can get that? Well, you can definitely go get premium arms. I mean, let's just say the going rate for like the top tier player in college baseball, let's just say it's 200,000. You have 1.5 million. So, but you're also dealing with the fact that Missouri had such a bad year. They're probably getting that offer from Texas. They're probably getting that offer from Mississippi State and all the other SEC schools and big ACC schools that have money. So,
oh, Missouri's definitely paying a premium. It's gonna be 2x whatever it costs.
yeah, I mean, it's got to be big. It's got to be big. And the question is, are they going to get it? Who knows? Kane's great question. Kyle would know best. Hopefully that answered it. Also, we can get clarification on whether or not Canes went to the ACC tournament. He did not go to the ACC tournament.
Okay.
Good thing. Good thing he didn't.
Yeah. So, but Canes will be in the regional if God willing.
God willing, yes.
I'm
And
certain.
I think
Canes-
Zach didn't answer that earlier. Zach, how are you feeling about and Canes? How are you guys feeling about Miami's chances of making the tournament after one and done?
Yeah, that was a convenient omission by them.
Yeah. A non-answer.
I'm starting to think Canes is a junior in high school at Christopher Columbus.
He's not. He
No,
graduated from Christopher Columbus.
Canes is Mr. Worldwide.
Mr. Worldwide. We don't really know what Canes does. We just know he's kind of important and knows a lot of stuff that it's a little bit strange how he knows all this stuff.
Canes is on the inside with Miami sports.
I don't think Canes knows anything we don't know.
Trivia answer, 2021 Georgia Tech was second place in the regular season, did not get a host.
What year?
2021.
Again, it's the funny COVID year. That year is an outlier. Do not listen to that
Yeah.
data.
Actually, I think you're right, Dusty. I think that year you almost was there. It was like there was no non-conference games that year or something like that, right?
Yeah, they only played conference. And I don't know how. I can't remember how they divvied it up, but
I know what you're saying. There was something was weird.
Here's what it was, Kyle. They did not play non-conference, and they played instead of skipping, they played only conference, but they played everybody.
Yeah. Zach says going to depend on how many bid stealers there are.
So the question for Zach is, or the answer from Zach is, he doesn't feel great.
Yeah, exactly. That means you're a hope and a prayer, and you're sweating on Monday. Miami feels better than Notre Dame. Lost. Clarify that for me, Nancy.
Notre
Wiley
Dame.
Ballard. Host sites were submitted with like 2 weekends left to play. We played 36 conference games. If he isn't going to get fired, then we need to make the tournament for recruiting momentum. Kyle can't push his top ESA clients to Miami if we have back-to-back years of no tournament.
No, I think Miami's in.
I think Miami's in too. I don't know how, like, the gap between the SEC and the ACC, there's definitely a gap, but it can't be 13 and 17 get you in the SEC, but what, Miami finished, 15 and 14 in the ACC? So I feel like that has to get them in.
I think what would be best for college baseball, instead of, I mean, this stinks, but like, I would love to see a Kentucky Miami game, or like, you know what I mean, like a series like that. Like, we don't have all. It's not like football where a couple out of conference games are big time games.
Yeah.
It's
And if
like,
it is, it's like a
it's-
one game in the middle.
Well, the reason for that is in football, there's so much money associated with it.
yeah,
There's no incentive. Why would either Kentucky or Miami want to play that out of conference. Outside of what we have in college baseball, we have 2 tournaments where the big dogs play, but why would a Power 4 ever take that on? You know what I mean?
No, and I know, and I mean, like, no one does. No one has a weekend series except for rivals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like South Carolina, Clemson, Florida, Florida State, all that. But
to your point, Dan, if the RPI wasn't so heavily weighted, and I know this is going to piss Zach off, but if it wasn't, it would open up like those type of matchups out of conference.
Yeah, dude, and it would be awesome to see, because it's like then we get some real clarification. Like, who is the strongest this year? Who is, you know, are they close to each other? And it's just like we don't know any of that because no one plays. Like, baseball's so much different than anything else. Like,
there's not a whole lot of like ACC versus SEC matchups to like really see. And again, in baseball, you have to play a 3-game series to really have an idea of who's better. Like a 1-game midweek, anyone can win. You're throwing your midweek starter. Like, you're typically not throwing your best bullpen arms, and it's just kind of like anything can happen. You need to play a series on the weekend to really.
I think you're seeing that in the ACC tournament, like with what Pitt did and Cal's done for 2 games.
Yes.
In a 3-game set, I think it's pretty fair to assume.
That's right.
They're not.
Nancy says Miami feels better about getting in with Notre Dame losing. Yeah, I agree, Nancy. The question is to you now, Kyle. If you are a team that will have a massive NIL budget and scholarship increase, would you prefer to make the tournament, or would you rather get a head start on the portal? Make the tournament.
100%.
Because players are making decisions on the players that are getting NIL money are obviously making decisions. A lot of it weighted on the money, but they also want to go play for a team that's going to be in the thing. So I think you got to make the tournament. Who are y'all's 8 for Omaha? Dusty, go ahead.
Good question. It's hard to know without knowing how the supers are going to shape out, but I think you're looking at Texas, LSU, Arkansas, Florida State, because I think Arnold's a difference maker. I think you win that game.
Yeah.
When it comes down to it, then you hope that you can win one more. Now I'm going to get into some sleepers. I don't know how they're going to get there, but Virginia's in there. That's 5.
Okay.
6 is Oregon. And I don't really know why, but I think that's my West Coast team.
They can really hit. They hit a lot of home runs.
7 is Carolina.
Yep.
8 is Georgia Tech.
Wow, that's a biased. I think that's a biased final team there.
That's not a biased final team. It's called Danny Hall Magic.
Danny Hall Magic. That's right.
7 of those I feel pretty good about. I would say 4 of those I feel really good about.
So you don't think a Southern Miss or a Coastal Carolina can make it from the mid majors?
I think they could. Would I bet on them? No. I think in a 3-game set. So those teams are going to have to play some of the big boys from the ACC or SEC. And I don't think in 3 games, no, I don't. I think there's a big difference between the SEC and then even the ACC and then everyone else.
Yeah, I do think Southern Miss has Middleton, who's a true ace and can be that equalizer, kind of like. I mean, he's not Jamie Arnold, but I think he is a guy that can win them a Friday night game. So my 8 would be, again, the obvious Texas, LSU, Florida State, UNC. I'm going to go Virginia, Florida, Southern Miss, and Georgia Tech. Danny Hall Magic.
That's right, baby.
Can Danny Hall make it back?
I mean, how can we not pick it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It would be remiss.
But yeah, I think Florida, with the way they're playing right now, they're playing like a top 5 team in the country right now, even with the injuries.
And I'll say a caveat to both of ours. People may be laughing. I'm telling you, you get Virginia in a regional, it's a dogfight. Do not.
Yeah.
They will find a way. They're sickos, is what they are.
Dude, they're just so fundamentally sound that it's
Not going to lose. Yeah.
It's insane.
And they really figured out the pitching on the weekend. Their arms all weekend looked really good.
Dude, that lefty they threw on Saturday, I called the game when they played Tech on Saturday. It's a Rodon comp. Same lower half, same stuff. He was 93, 96, big slider. I'm telling you, I would. The best thing for everybody is to get Virginia eliminated. Get them out.
But the funny thing was, they were like, "Yeah, we don't know if we're gonna throw this guy Sunday." And I'm like, "What kind of position are you in where you have a lefty freshman who throws 96, where you're like, not sure if we're gonna start him?"
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
And I think the big issue for Virginia was like preseason, everyone thought they were going to have one of the best offenses in the country. And they just had so many Ford, Didawick, Godbout, like they all started off really slow and they just could not score runs. It seems like they figured it out on the offensive side as well. So again, that's another, like Florida and Virginia to me are 2 teams that at the beginning of the year, everyone thought were really good. And they just had terrible starts, but the way they've played in the second half, like both, if Virginia won't be a host, but if Florida isn't a host, that's another team. Like you do not want Florida in your regional.
And that's, I mean, look at the history tells you all you need to know.
Yeah.
You know, like Florida, if they get in, look at last year at Clemson, a good Clemson team that was hot. It don't matter. You know, like,
yeah.
I want to avoid those, and that's why, like, I asked you last weekend, Kyle, or last week on the stream. It's like, would you rather be a 1 seed that hosts with Tennessee, or be a 2 seed that went to
Alabama? Is what you said.
And I think I would take that 2 seed.
Yeah, and I think now it's for sure Alabama won't be a host. The one interesting thing is if Tennessee makes a deep run, they potentially get a host. And then you may get you're probably getting Alabama at that point in the Georgia Tech regional if Georgia Tech's a host.
And I'll take that. That's
and you take that over Tennessee.
100 times over.
Yes, because Tennessee's got that postseason magic lately where they're just making a super regional every year.
Yeah, and I know we've talked about this, Kyle. If Georgia Tech can get out of the regional,
yeah,
they'll get to Omaha. Their offense they will find a way. Like, I'm not worried about the super at all.
Yeah.
They can get out of the regional. They're a good spot, but it's just they don't have the arms. Regionals are all about arms. You know, you got to be able to piece together what could possibly be 5 games.
Yeah. The regional is if you're a 1 seed and you win game 1, you're in the driver's seat. And if you're a team that gets into the losers bracket, like you're in for 5 games to win it, and just most teams do not have the arms to win a 5th game. Dusty will be right back. Maybe Virginia's doing what they are doing in the minor leagues. That's why they are so locked in and focused. What are they doing in the minor leagues?
The regional is so much different than super because super is just best 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
And, like, I look at Tech, and I'm like, man, I'll take my money on them 2 out of 3 with anybody. Like,
yeah, Georgia Tech's really figured out their 3 starters.
Yeah, bats alone, and they got 2 guys who can go long in the bullpen and, like, not just fill innings, but, like, shut down
innings.
And so it's like that's something we hadn't had in a long time. You know, like, pitching's really, really – I mean, I think they're like one of the only schools. What was the stat? It was like, of course,
they're the only team in the ACC. They're the only team in the ACC to have a top 3 offense and top 3 team ERA, and they were second in both of those.
Yeah. I mean,
I do think what Dusty said is true. Like Tech, to me, on paper, is way weaker in a regional than they are in a super regional, because
Mhm.
there are a lot of arms for Georgia Tech that have not thrown a lot of innings this year. So if you go deep in a regional, you're going to be throwing guys. Whereas like we saw against Duke on game 2, a lot of guys came out of the bullpen with really good stuff, but they hadn't thrown many innings. So they don't have that confidence and haven't established like a role in the pitching staff. So they're kind of out there trying to prove themselves still. And that usually leads to, giving up runs and just not being confident out there. If GT wins the AC tournament, how high will their seed be? Dusty, you want to answer that?
My answer is not popular. So if you win the ACC regular season and then win the tournament, you're a top 5. You're a top 5 seed.
Yeah, and I'm sure, like in my mind, and Dan, I want to get your take on it after. If you win the ACC regular season title and the ACC championship, you have to be a national seed. Like there's just
no. You are.
You have to be a national seed.
100%. How could you not be?
Yeah.
I mean, I think
it's widely known as the second best conference, and you won both of them.
But what sucks?
What are we doing?
Yeah.
With how like I don't even we'll call it media, but like with how they've been ranked through the season.
Yeah.
Almost every week I look at it, I'm like, what am I missing here? Like where's the penalization?
What happened was, and this is what I said on Twitter, it pissed me off. What happened was they had a 7-game streak where they were bad. Yes, whatever.
Almost every team does, by the way.
Exactly. So then, had they been appropriately ranked after beating Louisville 2 out of 3, who was number 20, right? So they beat number 20, 2 out of 3, not ranked. If they would have been put into 18th, and then they beat Duke 2 out of 3 at Duke, who was ranked 20th or so, they would have been ranked like 15th or so.
Yep. Then it's very easy. What is going on?
Because they never did that, and it's because of D1 baseball's weird pride. Like that's the only way to describe it. It was malpractice, is what it was.
Okay, guys, I need you to chat again because our favorite somehow made a new account and came back into the chat. So chat away. So we can get that off the screen. Gosh. Wiley, I'm gonna have to ban you too if you say something like that again.
But all I'm saying is, if they would have given the respect to Georgia Tech as needed,
yes,
there would be no egg on the face. There would be no. There really wouldn't be any mystery about it. Georgia Tech should be ranked probably about 15th. Going into the Duke series, and they win that one. Okay, so now they're ranked 12th.
Yeah,
it's not.
It was definitely. I think D1 baseball did not expect Tech to win both series against Louisville and Duke. So after they beat Louisville, I think they thought, well, they're going to lose to Duke.
And that pisses me off. It pisses me off that they didn't have the courage to say, "Hey, we missed this." You know what I mean? Like, okay. Tech should have been ranked after Louisville, but guess what? We missed it. So you beat back-to-back series ranked. The only blemish on the entire schedule, call it what you want, is that Miami series.
Yes.
Okay, you still have 19 wins in conference.
Mm-hmm.
You won the ACC regular season. What else do you need to see? You know what I mean? It's like, if you win the ACC regular season, you're a top 10 team. That's all there is to it.
And we're not talking about a team that got blown out or like really beat against Auburn both times. Like,
yeah,
we had both of those games very well within reach. You know what I mean? So it's like, if you're giving Auburn all this credit and we're all throwing our midweek guys and like,
so that
like it shouldn't be far off.
That's a great lesson learned. If I'm Georgia Tech going forward, fuck it. I'm throwing my dogs against Auburn. I'm throwing my Friday. His midweek bullpen is going to be against Auburn.
Yeah.
It's like, if that's what it's about, that pisses me off.
Yeah, I think with the Georgia game, it was a close game. The Auburn games were what, 1-run games, both games.
And that's gonna hurt. That's going to hurt Tech's, national seed in the fact that they lost all their midweeks who were worth a damn. They lost.
Yes.
But
Should have been ranked after Louisville.
All that to say, if for some reason someone comes out on the other side and Tech makes it to the championship of the ACC tournament, and it's not Florida State, it's not Clemson's, it's not Clemson, it's not whoever it is, they're going to be like, oh well, they should have won that. So you know what I mean? Like, that's just been the trend the whole year. So it's like, instead of just being like, okay, I was wrong.
Yes.
Like, let's just.
Zach says D1 baseball having Southern Miss and TCU ahead of Georgia Tech in the hosting rankings was crazy. That was crazy.
Crazy.
Wiley says D1 is also so inconsistent on how they handle midweek games. True. Nancy said, yeah, we just didn't look good at Miami. Yeah, I mean, there was just a bad 7-game stretch, but if you the rest of the season outside of that 7-game stretch was one of the best years in the country. Your 39 win season, they win tomorrow, they got 40 wins. So again, it's just like that 7-game stretch seemed to be like so highly penalized for Georgia Tech.
Walt Smith says 44 wins gets you to Omaha.
Well, they're close. They're getting close.
However you get there, it don't matter. If you get 44 wins, you're in Omaha.
Wiley says Louisville lost the series to unranked Georgia Tech and got no penalty because they won midweek versus Vandy. Georgia Tech gets held against them that they don't beat Auburn, Georgia midweek. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and you're talking about Auburn and Georgia, who are two potential national seeds.
I'll tell you
It's
this.
not like they were just like bad, like okay SEC team.
Wiley, I'll call him Wiley Ballard Enjoyer, has finally gotten rid of his trolling, and he's finally making sense.
Yes.
Welcome
That is
to
something we have to reel him in sometimes. We have to rein him in. Sometimes he gets a little crazy.
What are we going to call him going forward? Should we call him Ponder or WBE?
We'll WBE for now.
Okay.
WBE for now.
I'd like to see him with a new name.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad he's finally making
surprised,
sense.
I'm surprised ratioed Nats fan has not made in the chat, Wiley Bowder and Jorah. Why don't you text him? Do I have to extend the ceasefire? No government names. No government names. My parole officer watches these. So right now it says Boston College versus Virginia will start at 10:18.
Dude, what?
Can you they're going to be finishing at past 1 o'clock. Maybe 2 o'clock.
It's the road to Omaha, man.
Yeah, good luck for whoever wins that game having to play tomorrow. If they have to play tomorrow. Which they will. They will. Let's see. Boston College and Virginia, whoever wins that game will play. Let's see. Boston College and Virginia.
No, it's the next day.
They will play UNC on Friday, Dan? Yeah, I think Friday. Because I think Georgia Tech and NC State play tomorrow?
Yeah.
Are the two top seeds that play. So they'll get a day off.
We got Cal.
Yes. Georgia Tech plays Cal. NC State will play now I lost it. NC State will play
Dusty, did you call the Cal game?
Clemson. NC State Clemson tomorrow, so that'll be a big game.
I did call the Cal series, yeah.
So is it not bamboozling that they've made even a 2-game run?
Yeah, it is a little bit.
Just the team we saw.
They weren't very good.
I'll be right back. You guys are handling chat for 30 seconds.
I mean, they weren't very good. But I think that's a testament to what can happen. You know what I mean? It's like, and part of it is, Dan, I think that when you're Cal, right, you're going in, hey, if we don't win, we're done. We've all been there. And it's like, okay, all of a sudden you can play free. It's just like,
yeah.
I think so far they've gotten on a heater. And I mean, it's not like they pitched it great, but they swung well. And
it's just like that was 3 bad games. It wasn't a bad team, but it was 3 bad games.
Yeah, I mean, and I
And
think
everyone has them. Everyone has them, but
I think they were probably a distant. I thought Pitt was worse, but of the games that I called, they were probably the worst in the conference. But I feel like they're almost taking it like it's almost like summer ball. You know what I mean? It's like
yeah.
if we lose, screw it, and if we win, even better. It's like, okay, we'll keep playing. And
Remember, they did have
as well as anybody. When you open up that freedom, and it doesn't really matter, it's like, okay, now you can finally play your best.
They had a really good guy on the weekend too, who just spotted up, threw strikes, like wasn't crazy overpowering, but like was gonna come right after you. And we had that was like a closer game, but I'm like they definitely got weapons in there. I don't know if it could last 5 games, but
Well, I think they went to Omaha like kind of recently.
Well, they definitely went to Omaha when it might have been when we were in school and they saved the baseball program.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of too. I'm looking right now. Okay, yeah. So they went to Omaha in 2011.
All right, so what are we talking about?
I mean, not super recent, but more recent than some.
I mean, that's a school though. If they were just, you don't have to do this as a school, but if you just threw money into the program,
and that's why I know this year isn't reflective, but the ACC baseball wise, when they took on Stanford and Cal, Stanford speaks for itself, but I'm looking right now. Cal made it to Omaha in 2011. They made a regional as recent as 2019. Like that's an upgrade over Pitt. You know what I mean? It's and I guess that's why I know
Pitt got snubbed. Pitt got snubbed 2 years though.
Yeah,
there was 2 years they got snubbed for sure. Like they had the year before they came to ACC, I think 2013, they had a crazy amount of wins. 2014, they might have made a regional, but they that time period they were really. I mean, they had this dude Ray Black who threw 100 miles an hour.
Yep.
They had a catcher
Ray Black went to Cal.
No, he went to Pitt.
Pitt, okay.
Catcher who played with the Diamondbacks forever.
Oh my guy, TJ Zoik, first rounder, Blue Jays.
Yeah, dude, they've had some really good talent. I mean, Nancy was talking about would you want to live in Pittsburgh? I'm like, man, Pittsburgh's sweet.
Yeah, Pittsburgh is cool.
And that's why I think a little bit that, I mean, is it a tough job relative to the ACC? Sure.
Yeah.
I'm surprised Mike Bell has not done a better job, to be honest. I wouldn't be surprised if, the program's in no better shape than it was 10 years ago.
Yeah. BC has taken steps. That's one.
Yeah.
That's taken steps up. They've upgraded everything. That's a cool place to go now. And it's kind of I don't know that Pitt has taken those same steps. You're right.
And I'm also a little surprised. So I'm looking at it right now. Give me a second. I think I know the facts, but I just want to double check. Yeah. So Mike Bell was at Florida State for 6 years. And you jump for the job at Pitt? You know what I mean?
Well, he got let go.
At Florida State?
No. Yeah.
I'm just saying, so he was at Florida State that long, and that's the job you're going to take? I'm a little surprised by that.
No, you're right.
It's one of those things, if I'm going to leave for Pitt, unless he thought Mike Martin was close to the end, which
yep.
But, this is year 7 at Pitt, and I'm looking right now, I'm looking at his win-loss. Give me a second. They've never won more than his first year they won 8 games. Next year was COVID. 21, they won 16. Since then, it's been 13, 10, 10, 10. Like 10 and 20. I know it's Pitt, but to your point, Dan, Pitt's not the worst possible job. I don't know. I just think there has to be. He's never finished better than 5th.
Yeah, it's definitely a job at Pitt, like we've been talking about, that, there's something for, there are certain coaches who see, like, maybe my time is running out and I get an ACC head coach job, I'm going to jump at it. There's a lot of, look at McMullen at Virginia. I mean, he's a guy that for years people have thought like he'd make a great head coach somewhere, but he stayed at Virginia. And so I think there's some assistant coaches who think like, I'm just going to stay here.
That's a great call out. What about Coach Kuhn at Virginia? He was the pitching guru for 15 years. You know what I mean? And
how many guys have pitched in the big leagues?
And he took a job at Liberty.
Well, I mean, again, it's just some guys. I think some guys get the feeling after a certain amount of years that it looks like I'm going to have to go to mid-major route and prove myself at that level to get a big-time job.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's like I look at Carl Kuhn, who recruited me out of high school, who I thought was really impressive. And this was in 2009. It's like, so you have to think these assistant coaches who are at these premier programs, that's the rub. It's like, okay, do I jump after 3 years, go to a mid-major, or hope that after 10 I get a –
That's exactly right. That's the decision.
The grass isn't always greener. It's like –
Yes. And that's the – look at like a lot of guys have gone to LSU to be an assistant. Like going to LSU to be an assistant, usually a lot of those guys are getting head coach jobs within a year or two.
Yeah.
Like Jay Johnson's had a lot of turnover with assistant coaches because like they've done really well. And then they've been hired away from LSU as head coaches.
Yeah, but what else? If you're Carl Kuhn, you have to be thinking, what else do I need to do? I'm pumping out, probably 2 top 100 picks every year, every draft.
Yep.
And it's like, and the best that he could get was Liberty.
I do think for some reason,
no shade on Liberty, but it's like you would think after doing it for 12 years.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the answer to that is, but it's
and it is weird. It's like there's no rhyme or reason to why, some like top assistants like Josh Elander, for example, obviously they've done an amazing job, but there are some top assistants who everyone says this guy's going to get a head coach job in the SEC or the ACC or pretty soon.
Yeah.
And then there's some who are some other top assistants who it's like they got to go prove themselves at a mid-major.
And Zach brings up a good question in the chat. What's a better job, the pitching coach at FSU or the head coach at Pitt? And I think something to clearly distinguish is what pays better.
Yeah.
Does not equal better job. Like, I think that, in my opinion, the head coach job at Pitt is a bitch. Like,
it's tough.
It's tough. The pitching coach at Florida State, you have your pickings of the crew. You may make 150 to 200 grand less, but in my experience, I volunteered 1 year at Tech coaching and quickly realized it wasn't the path for me. But I also know that I'm going to ride out that Florida State assistant job until hopefully I've done, and I'm going to bounce out of there. I don't think I'm taking the Pitt job if I'm Mike Bell at that point in time, given how highly, the reputable job of Florida State. However, I don't know what I don't know. I have to imagine that Mike Bell only took that because that was the best one, which also raises questions. It's like, why was that the best job he could get?
Yeah. And again, that really is kind of one of the biggest decisions an assistant coach has to make is like,
and I think that's the big question with all the assistant coaches, right? Like, okay, do you want to be Elander for 10 years and really prove yourself to get an SEC job, or do you want to bounce right away and go coach at Troy?
Yeah. And I think that the key is, and, from talking to guys, it's like if you're going to take a mid-major job, it's got to be at a place where you feel like you can win right away. That you, like a really good mid-major. And I think Liberty in that conference, I mean, think about it, like Scott Kelly, when he was at Liberty, he did a fantastic job. Got them to, what was it, a super regional? They were always one of the best offenses in the country. He's now at UNC. And so I think Liberty actually a pretty good mid-major team and job in baseball. But again, it's just like if you go there and don't win, like all of a sudden, where are you going next? I mean, that's the decision. That's why some guys stay on as an assistant for a long time at a premier school, because you've built up the program. You're, like you said, at Florida State, you're getting the cream of the crop pitchers in the state of Florida and the Southeast. And job security wise, there's probably way more job security there than taking a risk. But if you go to a mid-major or you go to a Pitt and you have one good season, you get to a super regional. Like, I mean, Scott Strickland at Kent State gets Kent State to the College World Series. Like, now he gets the Georgia job that year.
See, I think the question is more of, let's take Mike Bell just for an example. I'm not saying I know anything about what's going on, right? But you're at Florida State. We would all agree a top 10 job in college baseball.
Yep.
You're the pitching coach with Mike Martin. Do you wait it out to take, so what, to me, Pitt that's a life sentence. There's no way you go there and it goes well.
Yeah. You're hoping like you get one good year where the stars align.
But what you guys are missing out with Pitt is that, what do you go in 2019?
18.
Okay, so you have COVID shortly after that. And then all of a sudden you have free transfer, free all the NIL
That's a
stuff.
good point, Dan.
And it's like Mike Bell was super successful in the state of baseball. It's just like baseball has evolved so much that
that's fair.
So if it was the same rules, if he was on an even playing field, he's going to get the right dudes, right players, and develop them the right way.
Yeah.
But you're not even in the realm of the same playing field. Like, you're not even in the same playing field as,
no.
Like, you look at the middle of the ACC, like, you can't catch up.
Usually Pitt's a mid-major. Like, call it what it is.
Okay.
The same guy. And Dan, that's a great point that you call out that I hadn't considered. And I wonder if Mike Bell would have taken that job knowing. I would say the answer is no.
And that's what sucks, dude. These dudes get thrown in these situations.
Yeah,
all of a sudden they're like, oh, they're not a good coach. And like, Mike Bell is a great coach. Like, Mike Bell.
Based off what, though?
Huh?
Based off what? I mean, he could be there's nowhere to know he's a great coach. And that may be because he got handcuffed by COVID. But
no, I think what Dan I think the best point Dan made is that, again, before the portal, before all this free transfer stuff, Pitt was a place that every 2 or 3 years you were going to have an older roster, experienced roster that was going to put up a good year. But when the portal came around and free transfer, based off that's how every mid-major for the last 20 years before the portal happened, that's how a mid-major would get to the College World Series. That's how Fresno State would get to the College World Series.
They're going to make you to pull up these stats and let you know that they've never won shit.
Dude, pull up their records and see that little...
That pisses me off when you just start saying bullshit.
That 4-year run. Pull up that run they had.
I'm going to pull it up.
Pull it up.
I'm going to pull up the numbers. Mike Bell could be a great coach. No doubt about it. You're not jumping from Florida State to Pitt when they haven't done shit for 10 years and you think you're going to do something.
Dude,
stop with the nonsense.
You put them on the same playing field, they're going to be the
Kyle, get back to the chat while I do this.
Florida Ole Miss is live, just started. Thanks, Buck and Zach, for updating us. How many more games does Florida have to win to host? That's a great question, Zach. I don't know. Now, if they win tonight, is 2 games in the SEC tournament good enough for a host? I don't know. I think certainly if they win 3 games, I think they are a host. So I think maybe the over-under is 3. Or over-under is 2. Or 2.5.
Is there a situation where
2.5.
Tennessee can play Florida in the SEC championship?
What'd you say?
Is there a situation where Tennessee can play Florida in the SEC championship?
I believe so. I believe so. Let me see.
That wouldn't be a good thing for.
Yes.
people.
Florida. If Florida made it all the way and Tennessee makes it all the way, they will play each other.
I mean, you look at these bad, like not middle of the pack teams in the SEC, and it's like they might have more talent than might have more talent than the top of the SEC. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. No, it's and again, Florida preseason was like what number? I know they were top 10. I'm not sure if they were top 5, but I know they were like I want to say they were 7th or 8th preseason.
I mean, Duke was highly touted at the beginning of the season too.
Duke was as well,
and we see them like I think they're exactly where they should be.
Yeah, I think Duke, as we've seen, is like one of those like kind of in and out of the top 25 type teams. I think they're like right on the fringe of top 25.
The best question in the chat though was when someone brought up the Northeastern coach. Like,
yes.
How long is it going to take of them just dominating people for that guy to just...
That's a good point, Dan. And again, that's another example. It's like Northeastern for the last few years has been, like a lot of people would say, that's been the best program in the Northeast. And
ridiculous.
They got really good pitching. I mean, I remember last year they came in to play Tech, and it was like, these guys have ACC arms all weekend.
And they banged. Like,
yes.
Hit.
So I think that's a good point. That's a good call out, Dan. Maybe we see something happen this summer.
And I don't know. Northeastern's one of those places where there's like a funny little amount of money where they can keep, you know what I mean? Like,
yep.
You see it with like the Coastal Carolina guy, College Charleston people. Like, you know, if I'm making good money and I'm competitive enough, like, what am I searching for? Like, what do I need? So it's like, you know, they don't have to leave.
Yeah, and I think that's what like that. A good example of that is like Cliff Godwin at East Carolina. Like every year, every job that opens, he's one of the top candidates for it. And from talking to people that know him, like he just loves being at East Carolina. He's basically got a lifetime deal there. Like he's the head coach of East Carolina baseball. Like he will be there until he wants to leave.
Just because I don't know, you know, I mean, he might be like the key. Like they're decent in football.
Yep.
You can't just be good in one sport and get into a major conference. So like, he's a key for them to like even take a step up into another conference.
Yes.
Yeah. Like how much buyer's remorse does Monte Lee have?
I don't think Monty has any remorse, dude. He's making like 500 as the 4th guy at South Carolina.
Yeah, but what's happened to Charleston since he left?
Well, they had 40 something wins last year, and they didn't make a regional somehow.
Yep.
Whatever that was.
Yeah, that was like the biggest snub of the tournament last year.
Dude, Holbrook,
when Florida got in.
North Carolina won, went to South Carolina, won, had one bad season, and all of a sudden was out. And it was like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
I mean, that one.
Yeah, that was, I think, what most people thought was the biggest snub of the tournament, leave out of the tournament, was Charleston not getting in, and Florida getting in at 13 and 17. But
Florida got to Omaha.
Florida made the committee look great when they got to Omaha. So,
but I mean, Florida's the same as Virginia. Like, you get hot, like those are scary, and it's crazy because like they win.
I have no problem with that snub. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Those are programs that win, so it's like everyone's ingrained to win.
Kyle, what do you got?
Cherry limeade, love it.
Ooh boy.
One of the best flavors you can get. Florida just gets tries to do a first and third steal. Left-handed pitcher picks off. Runner at third gets off too far. They get him out at third to end the inning. Huge break for Ole Miss. And I think the
what do you got on this? What do you got on this Virginia starter?
It should be live now. Let me check.
No, I
No,
forget
the
his name.
starter.
I forget his name. I called him twice. This is bad on me. I called 2 of his games over the last 3 years. Supposed to be a big time prospect, little kid, good arm, Stroman comp.
Oh, Wilfork.
Yes, Wilfork.
Yeah.
Wilfolk.
Wilfolk. Yeah.
Vince.
Stuff is not as good as it once was, I don't think.
Yeah. Yeah. Fastball's like low 90s.
I think he was supposed to be like 2 to 6.
Yeah.
Power slider.
Well, the interesting thing for Virginia was preseason Evan Blanco.
Dude, right. Yeah.
He was preseason like rated a top 5 starting pitcher in the country. And he missed the first few weekends due to some kind of injury. And then he came back and he was like not good.
But I think it was injury.
Okay. It was injury? Okay.
Yeah, I think it was injury.
It was injury.
Um,
Off-field team disciplinary thing or?
No. I just slippery slope here. I don't think it was disciplinary. I just don't think he was pitching.
He wasn't pitching as well in the fall. And
something was maybe a little up, but I don't think he ever took time away.
Okay.
And then they tried to get him back and just couldn't get could not replicate what they did last year.
Hey, Boston College with a leadoff double, top of the first inning.
Dude, I'm telling you, Boston College.
Oh, wait. Boston College is up 2-0 with no outs in the top of the first and a runner on second.
They had a guy I played with. They had a guy named Kevin Vance was pitching coach. All of a sudden, they get really good. Don't want to pay him to be an assistant.
Yep.
Has to go to Arizona, but he's a Northeastern guy, and I'm like, dude, if Boston College really wanted to win, that's all you got to do. Retain. He went to Arizona to be the assistant, which Arizona is a great job, like for
Yes.
sure. But you're making 50 more thousand at Boston College.
Yep. Yep.
I just hate. I know these schools have the money. Why aren't they?
They act like they don't have the money,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
Dan? That's the thing.
We all see your endowment. Like we know where money can go, and it's like I can't understand it, man.
No, you're 100% right. It's weird.
We want to be competitive, okay, but you don't pay. If you paid coaches first, then you're probably going to end up being competitive because
yes,
at least they can develop.
Dude, until just now, I thought Northeastern was in Florida.
He's thinking of that JUCO that uses wood bats. Really good. Who was that? Aswahe that went there.
Network analyst speaks.
He's thinking of Nova
Southeastern.
Nova Southeastern.
Yeah.
Dude, Northeastern.
I don't know if you guys just saw the play. Ground ball up the middle. Virginia's second baseman boots it. No out. Now runners at first and third. No outs. BC already up 2-0.
All right, you guys with your little Omaha picks.
Yeah, Dan, where are yours? We're waiting on yours.
And I got Northeastern in for sure.
For sure.
Wow, that's a huge pick right there.
They have the most wins in NCAA.
Yeah.
All right,
I mean,
Dan,
they got 9 losses.
And then I want to hear Zach and Kane's 8 for Omaha. But Dan, you first.
All right, Zach and Canes need to type it because it gets delayed. I know that from experience. Georgia Tech,
Classic.
without a doubt. Northeastern.
We're all suckers.
I got Florida. I want to put a Florida / Tennessee. Florida
Nope. One pick.
All right, Florida. LSU. I think just because of the coaching at UNC, Jay Howe, he's my 5. 6. I don't think Southern Miss or Coastal are making it. I think Northeastern is the one that's going to make it.
Okay.
But I think Tech and UNC, Florida State, Clemson will get fizzled out. Clemson's not what they're. I don't know.
They've won a lot of close games. Like if
I'm
you
not
look
a
at the
buyer.
run differential for them over the season, it's got to be barely above. Like,
And I'll say this from a pitching perspective, Kanak is not nearly what he was. Numbers aren't that much different, but the clean and the quality of start last year to this year is not great.
Can we talk about the
For
closer?
sure.
Okay, the closer's been unbelievable.
Malstott or whatever his
But
name.
can we talk about the amount of
Eagle,
fly balls to end the game in 1 or 2 run games? Fly balls to the warning track. Dudes against the wall.
Yes.
I
Yes.
saw it against South Carolina. I saw it when Vaughn hit the ball against them that would have given them the lead.
Yep.
And it's like, dude, I saw it again the next week, and it was like teams are so close to figuring that dude out, and they just can't figure him out. So I guess they're not going to. But for however many games in, I don't know who my other one's in, but who my other ones are. But Dusty got me off track.
yeah,
I think we had 2 teams left, Dan, but I think that's
I think it's going to be a
Dude.
bunch of powerhouses in Northeastern.
dude, Virginia is like flopping right now.
Good.
Virginia.
I'm
They
somehow.
Let me look at this replay.
You guys remember
Mount
going to BC?
first baseman boots it. Safe at first. Another run scored. It's first and second, I believe.
Hey, you guys remember going to BC though?
Yeah.
We pull
Oh,
up
yeah.
on the bus and like everyone's like tanning outside because it's like 70 degrees.
Yep.
We're like, yo, this campus is the coolest place ever. Then we get to the baseball field and it's like a parking lot for the football game.
Wow, Zach with Coastal.
Nope.
Zach says his Omaha 8. Zach says Texas, LSU, Arkansas, North Carolina, Oregon, Vandy, Georgia, Coastal Carolina. Wow, 1 ACC team, Zach?
Dude, honestly I forgot about Georgia and Vandy.
Yeah.
I mean, Vandy right now looks
But
stupid.
I think Vandy, the thing that scares me with Vandy, their offense is not good. They don't score a lot of runs.
Yeah,
Their
but they're
pitching has
always
been
like
really
that.
good.
They're
But-
always
But
they're always
Vandy,
full offense.
And they do not make errors. They play very they have like in like 55 games, they've made like 34 errors.
but
They're the
Vandy's in the same vein as Virginia and who else do we say? Florida.
Yeah.
Teams that it's in their DNA. Once they get there,
Yes.
you don't want any part of them.
No, I think like and again, it shows the impact of like an elite head coach like Tim Corbin. Like they are just like they do not make errors. They play the game right. Their offense, you look at their offensive numbers and you're like, man, like they struggle to score runs, but their pitching has been really good. They don't have the star power of past Vandy teams, but they've outplayed teams somehow and gotten a lot of wins.
Hey, Buck has spoken.
Who
Buck
is Buck?
says mine are based on the fan bases I
Oh,
want to see
Buck.
there.
Is Buck
LSU,
Buck a Georgia Tech guy?
Texas, Woo Pig, Tennessee, Vandy, Oregon, and I'll throw in Georgia Tech just because I know you 3 will be there with me.
Who's Buck a fan of? I know this is turning into a Miami Georgia Tech.
Yeah, Buck, who is your favorite
Okay.
college team?
Dan, that's Buck Ballou.
Yeah, it's Buck Ballou from
680 the fan.
680.
Dude, Buck
The Fan, yeah.
Ballou's got to be up in 3 hours to.
Yeah, he does.
He got bumped to the 7 o'clock slot. He's on life support.
Yeah, but they record that in the wee hours of the morning and get the calls wee hours of the morning so that the people sound stupid.
Buck is a Notre Dame fan.
Okay.
Well, Buck, you're going to be hoping and praying on Monday.
I
Boston
don't know,
College,
man.
another.
I don't know. This Pope might get Notre Dame to the College World Series.
That's true. That's
even
true.
with a loss.
Boston
They might
College
win.
is up 5-0 in the first, 1 out. This is not how you wanted to draw up the game if you're Virginia, because now you're going to have to, if you're going to have to start going to your best arms out of the bullpen.
Can we talk about the Georgia Tech projected regional?
Sure.
Because if you got Georgia Tech, what was it? Georgia Tech, Tennessee. I don't know who the third one was, in Arizona State. You got 3 dogs in there. Like,
I think it was the Ivy League winner, Columbia, wasn't
Columbia. It was Columbia.
okay, so Columbia's got a dude too. They got a dude pitcher.
No, you're thinking Yale. You're thinking Yale.
No, I'm not thinking of Yale. But Columbia has a guy that's been solid all year. So it's like
That's a tough regional.
I mean, Arizona State, they've been off the radar for a while. I mean,
But they've been in and out of the top 25 this year. So, I mean, they've played well.
But
I think it's a tough regional. And again, I think if you're the 16th host, like, you should have a tough regional, right? Like, you should have a more difficult regional.
You should, but it shouldn't be 3 dogs. It should be a 1. I wish I'm seeing this with softball all the time on Twitter. I wish we had, and you said this other night. I wish we had
32 seeds.
32 seeds, man. You
Yeah.
get real number 2 seeds, and even if the last 8 are finicky, there's still a 2 seed, you know. And you throw them in the top end, and then you throw the good 2 seeds in the bottom end. It's like, it'd be great. It would make way too much sense for NCAA or anyone to do, but
Nancy says not an easy regional. Buck said, I saw Notre Dame there 3 years ago, which was great. My son and I snuck down and sat next to Link in the dugout, or by the dugout. Postseason Dan Jaffe is a different animal, says Wiley Ballard.
Dan Jaffe.
Baseball
analytics, is that what he's doing?
Yeah, he's their director of analytics, I think, baseball analytics.
What a guy.
We
were lucky to have him.
That's right. Kane says LSU, Tennessee, Arkansas, FSU, Duke, Oregon, DBU. Canes, that's 7 teams.
Canes with the Duke pull.
Duke, wow. Duke, wow.
Canes, you need to knock it off, dude.
AJ Gracia.
Kane says he doesn't have an 8.
We got to get Canes back to earth, dude. I'm telling you. He doesn't realize. So you guys were talking about Miami cheating. Remember freshman year, they had to do it. So Miami's field is eye level. So if the catcher's putting down signs between his legs, you can see it from right behind home plate. Dude was yelling out every sign that Buck was every pitch that Buck was calling.
No, Dan, that was Canes.
That was probably Canes, yeah.
It probably was Canes. No, Canes is a junior in high school.
Has Gracia remembered how to hit? Yeah, dude. The second half of the season, he's hitting like 450 with like 12 jacks.
Dude, Gracia is going to be a great pro.
Yes.
Yeah.
Center fielder?
He figured it out.
Yeah, he's legit.
And he started the year hitting like 160 with like 2 home runs, and now
I'm not knocking on Duke when I talk about them. Like, their head coach is
probably elite.
Like, you talk about going to programs to fail.
Yeah.
Like, that place was really until Stroman.
Dan, I don't even know if you'll believe this. The last time Duke had made a regional before 2016, I believe, when Pollard took him to a regional, was like in the 1964 or something like that.
Dude, that guy's done such a good job.
Yeah, so like that's a great point. Is like Duke for the longest time was viewed as a job that like you can't win there. But Pollard,
I mean, look at their field.
Yes.
Dude, how do you get guys to come in and play that field?
If we don't if we don't hire Ramsey, I want Pollard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that would be a good. I think that would be a good pick.
Yeah, but I mean, we got an offensive guy that has a team hitting 500 right now.
No, I want Ramsey. I'm saying that.
Yeah. Honestly, too, back to the pitching thing, it's like we made such a big jump. Like, how do you even question
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know.
From like a 7 ERA to like a 4.5.
Like that's
But, hey,
insane, and we're not talking about a huge talent difference.
Oh, now Kyle's championing for Matt Taylor.
What do you mean? What do you mean? I think Dan, that's another good point, Dan.
I'm leaving.
Dan, that's another good point. It's not like the talent on the pitching staff is like a major jump.
I mean, look at the jump Patel made this year.
Yep.
He got the pitch. Granted, he started at Georgia State, but got to pitch a year, gets an experience. But like, dude, the guy's throwing invisibles. He's coming straight after people. He's throwing fastballs.
Yep.
Right after dude. So it's like,
he's just throwing fastball changeup.
I mean, they're just doing a really good job in to finally find like long relief roles.
Yeah.
That's a rarity in college baseball, man. It's either you throw a fucking you throw 100, you don't know where it's going, and I'm going to get everybody out, or it's the whole analytics thing where it's just analytics instead of being.
Do you know about pitching?
Dude, I mean, Dan was the ERA leader on Georgia Tech's baseball team.
Don't make me pull up the ERA, but don't make me pull up my. And I mean, so someone like Dusty would say that the high seams would affect pitching, but if you throw circle change, not really gonna affect. There's only one guy that ever got a hit off of my circle change.
It was me,
and it was Kyle.
Dan quick pitched. He should have thrown the fastball. He quick pitched me, but he threw a change up, so I was right on time.
Blew Kyle's doors off 2 pitches, 0-2, and here I am thinking, oh, I'm gonna get him.
Overthinking.
Quick pitch. Change up. Dusty wouldn't know about that. Hey.
Yeah. But I do think that this is another point, is that like Georgia Tech's weakness, and this is something that you could see play out in a regional, is that after those couple arms in the bullpen, there's a lot of guys with like 8 innings on the year.
Yeah. But
so after that, after those main bullpen arms, you're like, you really don't know what you're going to get.
But it's almost a trade-off because you're not going to have the best of both worlds.
No, you're right. You're right.
Maybe Texas has that right now. You know, like I don't
Big
know.
SEC schools, they have depth of arms that they can go to.
Let me ask you a question. Both of you. Of those 5 arms, how many of them?
There's more than 5 arms.
Name them.
Well, I don't need to name them, but there's more than 5.
Okay. So, of the 5 arms that you speak of, Kyle, I'll direct this to Kyle then.
Okay.
How many of them have been developed or plucked?
Say what? Say it again.
How many of those 5 arms have been developed or plucked from someone else?
I mean, dude, we're talking about a bunch.
To Kyle. To Kyle.
Well, Brady Jones from Georgia State.
Okay, 1.
Mason Patel from Georgia State.
Okay.
Jalen Payton from Georgia Southern.
Yeah.
But Brady Jones major jump within the year.
Yeah, I mean, Dan is right. Brady Jones has continually improved all year.
Okay, Patel.
That's fair to say.
Both of them have done nothing but gotten better the whole year.
And McKee, who Kyle, you said yourself you don't trust.
Yeah, McKee has not had the year I think anyone thought he was going to have.
Of the 4 of the 5, I just don't think we developed any of them. And then you have guys that come in like Royer, who turned down apparently $600K in the draft. Can't get him in a game.
Yeah, I do think.
That's my only beef. I'm not saying that Matt Taylor hasn't done a fine job, and the numbers are better. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, but at the same thing is like we've all played with dudes who got offered $1 million and weren't able to go out.
So 4 of the 5, the development has happened elsewhere, and maybe that's the recipe now with the portal. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, I would like to see
it happened elsewhere, but when they came in, they were not what they are now.
All I'm saying is Tate McKee, we all would agree, has gotten better, worse, or stayed the same.
He's been basically the same.
After 90 innings, when you have a 6.5 ERA, you kind of are what you are, right?
I think this is the total context, is that the pitching strategy they have used throughout the season has worked. The
No
problem
doubt.
is
I agree.
the problem is when you get in the regional and if you go 4 or 5 games, you're going to have to use some of those guys in the bullpen, like Dusty's saying, that have not thrown enough innings in the year to kind of gain any kind of confidence.
That's why if Georgia Tech gets to the Super, they're going to Omaha.
But I think if that's what you identify in the fall and spring and say, you know what, like we just got to throw Patel 4 innings, 1 game of this weekend. We got to throw Payton 4 innings, 1 game of the weekend, and just hope to win 2. Like that's been the strategy until they moved Payton to the rotation, and that's kind of been a big positive.
Yeah.
But
even though like
it's worked.
I like the Duke series, and it's like you end up piggybacking Brady Jones and Payton, and it's like good luck, guys. Like, I mean, I don't know. They have some ways where they can move it around where it's gonna work.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's go to chat. 2-run bomb by Virginia, now 5-2 in the first inning, 1 out. How long has Matt Taylor been there? This is his 2nd year. Question to Dusty now. Was Griffin Hugus developed at Cincinnati, the Cape Cod League, or at Miami?
Good question. And so I'm relatively familiar with Cincinnati baseball. So I think a lot can go into this, right? I do think there's something to be said for going to the Cape. The Cape is, and that's one thing that I've seen nowadays, and I think Kyle and Dan would both agree with me. 15 years ago, if you could go to the Cape, you would go. Like there was no debate about it. It was like a prestigious honor to go up there. Nowadays, guys are like, I'm fine. I'm not going. Don't need to pitch more. The good side, the best part about the Cape is you're surrounded by guys that are going to be top 5 picks. So you just sit around and watch and see what they're doing.
You mean top 5 rounds? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Top 5. Yeah. So it's like everyone, for the most part, if you have a bullpen in the Cape, you probably have 15 guys that are all staggered. Of those 15 guys, I would say 8 to 10 of them are going in the top 10 rounds.
Yeah.
And
each team in the Cape typically has like 2 or 3 first rounders on the team.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
It's the best college baseball you can get. So you go up there and you just sit and watch. Just by being there alone, you kind of learn what it's like to develop all these guys who are going to be – I'm watching 4 top 100 picks on my team. I'm going to do what they're doing, right? So that's half of it. Outside of that, I can't – I'm sure Cincinnati did a fine job. And then you mix all those together with more reps. Okay, now you have something. You're not going to even Cincinnati if you don't have good stuff.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of learning how to do that. You know what I mean? And I see Kane's comments about only throwing 20 innings. Sure, but that's 2 years of strength and conditioning. That's 2 years of going to watch other guys. Then half the battle with pitching, Canes, is, okay, I've thrown 20 innings that are really good. I've not only learned what I do well, I've learned what I don't need to do. You know what I mean? It's like, put that to the side. I'm going to hone in on what's going really well. And I watched Hugis's outing against Georgia Tech, and his stuff isn't crazy, but it's very clear that he learned how to pitch off his arsenal. You know what I mean? Like, it was very clear that he knew exactly what his game plan was.
Yeah.
Do I think he'll ever be a big league starter? Probably not. But he's put himself in position to have a chance to get drafted relatively high.
Yeah. Wiley Ballard says 100% Georgia Tech will be a case study in how few arms can you ride to Omaha. Buck says if Georgia Tech makes Omaha, do they have a decent traveling fan base to show up there? The SEC teams represent. ACC teams historically have been weak fan-wise there.
No.
Yeah, it will not be as much as the SEC schools. I will say I've noticed over the last couple years that Georgia Tech is getting more attendance at games. Would you guys agree?
Maybe.
I mean, not to cross sport, but I think our biggest downfall was football.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like the second you lose interest in football.
Yeah. I mean, the new stadium helps. It's a nice place to watch a game. But the problem with Georgia Tech, similar to Miami, it's like there's 4 or 5 competing events every Friday or Saturday night.
Not just that, like you live in a city. I mean, how many people are in Greater Atlanta?
A lot.
So it's like whatever you're interested in, there's going to be something for you. So it's like these other schools, Clemson, I got nothing to do but go to the baseball game.
Yeah.
I got nothing to do but support my school. Atlanta, like, dude, we got so many. I mean, we saw it ourselves. It's like,
yeah,
we can do whatever we want in this city that offers everything. Whereas the majority of college cities, like, you're not getting that.
Especially in the SEC towns. Like, those are college towns.
Yeah.
Like Dan said, it's
like
like,
who's
hey,
comparable? Rice
tonight, let's go.
Rice, Houston,
Yeah.
Miami, but I mean they're in Coral Gables, but they throw their stadiums in the middle of Miami where no one can really like tailgate on campus and everything. And then like BC is in Chestnut Hill, like that's far enough out of the city. Like you don't have these like Georgia Tech's a total outlier in a major city. Like Coral Gables, you got to take a train and then a bus down to Miami. Like, it's a little ways.
Nancy brings up a good point too. It's a pain to get there, unfortunately, to Georgia Tech games. Atlanta traffic, 4 o'clock game,
parking.
If you live outside of the perimeter, it's going to take you 45 minutes to get there. And
no matter when you have the game, it's going to be tough. But I do think the crowds have been better this year. It's been really impressive.
Yeah, I agree. I think when I watch the broadcast and they show the fans, it seems like on average there's been more people in the stands.
Well, when you're good, it helps.
And when you're good, it helps. Wiley says, also consider the student body makeup of Georgia Tech not exactly dominated by beer-drinking sports bros.
100%.
It's beer-drinking computer bros.
But
what's there to do in Fayetteville, Arkansas, or Oxford, Mississippi?
Go to the game.
Go to the game. Go to the game. Whatever team is playing, let's go tailgate and go to the game.
Yeah.
Kane says Miami games are so easy to get to.
And 40% of the Georgia Tech student body doesn't know what baseball is.
Yeah.
Kane, why are football games empty for the past 15 years then?
They've been terrible.
I mean, and then on top of that, we used to go to Miami. They were number 3 in the country, or they were number 1 in the country. We came in, what were we, freshman year? 8?
Yeah, we were top 10.
We were 8, and they were number 3, and the stadium was empty. No one goes to baseball games. Yeah. And that's part of Miami. Like, you're not going for like the rowdy fan base. You're going because it's Miami. Like, there's a certain aura around it. But like, no one's going to let's not get it wrong. No one's going to the games.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's really the case. Like, even if you look at, like, Virginia's got a beautiful facility after winning the World Series. And, like, you watch some of their games and you're like, there's not a whole lot of fans there. Virginia Tech, like, they get some fans, and those fans are pretty loud. But it's still not like this massive sold-out crowd that you see at, like, LSU, Arkansas, Mississippi State.
I think
want to keep it in conference.
I think D1 Baseball posted the attendance records for this year, and I think in the top 10 in the ACC were only
Florida State
and
Clemson,
Carolina, maybe.
I mean, dude, you got Clemson, Florida State, Carolina. What's there to do in those cities? Go to college games.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, that's it.
Yeah, so it's almost a detriment if you're in the middle, if you're in around or in a big city, because
it's also a detriment though to be a conference based on academia.
Yeah.
Because that's what the ACC is. Like, you got even putting in Syracuse, they passed up on schools like WVU, UConn, Houston because they're academia. And it's like,
so Kyle, what does that do to recruiting in your mind? Like, how much of recruiting is going to show off the crowd? Like, what percentage does that make up?
I think it's a bigger percentage. And again, I mean, if you're talking ACC versus SEC schools, like you're talking of like the best recruits in the country, but certainly like they want to go play at Tennessee where it's sold out every game. They want to play at Mississippi State where it's sold out every game. So I mean, what percentage is it? Maybe 15%, 20%. I mean, It's not the whole thing, right?
Well, so what makes up the most? Is it coaches? Is it opportunity? What's the?
I mean, it's different for every recruit. Dan, you got to head out.
Yeah, I'm rolling out.
All right. See you, Dan. Thanks for joining the show, man.
Love you guys.
See you, dude. I would say this, like, it's different for every recruit. Like, obviously you have those recruits that like they want to go play at their favorite school, right? Like they don't care. You could tell them, hey man, like it's pretty logjam at your position, all that stuff. Like they're still going to go play at Clemson if they're from South Carolina. But you also have recruits who like they really value academics. So like they want to go to a Georgia Tech or a Duke or a Vandy.
I think that's true. There are some recruits that really do value.
Yes, 100%. 100%. Okay. And then there's the recruits that really value, and this is harder more than ever now with the portal, but they value like what's the opportunity look like. And the problem is now, like it could look like the greatest opportunity, and then 3 weeks before you get on campus, they sign 2 portal guys that play your position, and they just hit 330 with 15 bombs.
Yeah,
like they're not going to play over those guys.
And what buckets as far as percentages would you put that in? Like what's the highest?
I think probably 35% of your players really care about what's the opportunity look like. I'm going to pick a school not based on is it a Power 4. I'm going to pick a school based on where's my best chance to play. I think players are waking up to that more now. That man, just because you got offered by Tennessee or just because you got offered by Florida State, it may not be the place you want to go. But I think the majority of players are still hell-bent on committing to like just the best school that offers them. And it's like Jordan made a post a while back, but it was like players care more about the commit pick that they post after they commit than like the reality of what's my future look like at that school.
So you think a lot of it is still clout?
100%. I think honestly, with these recent changes, I think that mindset is slowly changing. But I think for the last 10 years, it's been all about clout. It's like, oh, I committed to this SEC school, I committed to this ACC school, and it makes them look cool.
Even if they're on minimal money,
yes,
with no opportunity to play,
yeah. And again, and then there's some players who like the financial aspect is
swag that they'll get.
Yes. Yeah. And then there are the players who like the financial aspect is something that's very important. So like that's going to be their main decision factor. But most of the guys still like they want to go D1, want to go to Power 4. And it's like, dude, the average amount of freshmen in a starting lineup in the Power 4 right now is like 2. So if you're in a class of 12 guys, like, are you going to be one of the 2 guys that is actually playing significant innings or pitching a lot? Dan, any new update on Mississippi State, Zach? No, I mean, from what I've heard, I think, obviously Wes Johnson is no longer in that mix because he got extended.
Sleeper, Dan McDonnell.
Dan McDonnell could be a sleeper. But again, I'll say it like this. We were told from a guy who is very close to Rob Vaughn, and in quotes, basically a done deal.
I'm telling you right now, I'm the only one on this. I've been the first one on it, and I want the credit when it happens. Dan McDonnell is bouncing from Louisville, going somewhere.
Okay. Palka says, I'm back. The day of us three is no longer. I cared about one thing going to Georgia Tech and playing for Danny because his strong alumni. Now I see it as a look at me, no matter how bad experience they may have. Let me show you my gear. Yeah, and Dan, that was like, obviously my decision to go to Georgia Tech was that all three outfielders were going to be gone. But the other part was my uncle saying, like, Danny Hall produces professional talent. Like, he's going to develop you. But he's also, you show up and you're not what he thinks, like, he ain't afraid to replace you. But I knew that Jeff Rowland was going to be gone. Jay Dantzler was a senior. And who was the right fielder at the time? His brother pitched at Georgia Tech later.
No, his brother's committed.
Anyway, he was going to be drafted. Chase
Burnett.
So Rowland and Burnett were going to get drafted, and Jay Dantzler was gone. So I knew there's 3 spots to compete for. And obviously now that's harder to determine now too, because there's only 20 rounds in the draft. So you may see a guy putting up numbers and think, all right, he's going to get drafted, but he may not. And now with NIL, some of these guys are getting paid more than guys are going to make in a signing bonus. So it's like, why are they going to leave? I'm sure Sully is thrilled to do a mid-game interview. Justin LeBron to Miami. Let's go, baby. Kane's being...
Hey, Kyle. Well, have you seen what Parada's doing?
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
Well,
it doesn't surprise me that much. Because I'll say this about Parada, weird. As far as that's physical...
You kind of had him pegged as a can't miss big leaguer.
I never said that. Never said that. What I said was his freshman year, I thought he was going to be the ACC Freshman of the Year. And he was the runner-up. And my concern with him was the mental side of the game. And that's when you get to, no matter how talented you are, when you get to pro ball, if your mental side of the game is not strong, you get exposed. And I think that's the issue right now. I know he's made some changes to his swing and stuff. But yeah, certainly that's not what the Mets expected when they drafted him.
He's hitting below the Mendoza line.
Yeah, and he hasn't had a good year once.
Yeah.
Boston College double steal. Running wild on Virginia right now. Sully is actually smiling and laughing in the interview. Nice. Kyle, do you have any former client shortstops that are balling in any conference? Of my clients personally, I'm trying to think. I don't know. I'd have to think about it. I'd have to look through my list and check. We need one for next season. Okay. I'm sure amongst all of our clients that everyone's represented, we do. Buck says, yeah, I questioned when the Mets drafted him in the first round. Well, I mean, I don't know how you can question. I mean, he was one of the best hitters in the country. He hit 25 home runs.
No, he was a legit first rounder. But
yeah, I mean, he hit like 340 with 26 jacks as a catcher.
And I'll tell you this, I certainly didn't think he would struggle
this bad.
Yeah, but I never was gung-ho like Kyle was. Kyle was saying, like, no doubt can't miss.
Oh, I never said that.
And I was far off that.
The only thing I ever said was I think he's going to be the ACC Freshman of the Year, like after watching him hit BP for 1 week. Because his swing was that good. His swing was so elite. How is Joey Bart doing? I think he's just... What'd you say, Dust?
He's doing well. He's in like 270.
Okay. He's doing pretty well then. That's good.
Yeah, no, he's pretty much beat out Henry Davis.
Yep.
And if you know anything about Joey, which I know Kyle, you know him, but not a great fit for San Francisco. Like it was never going to be. And then he was drafted by a different regime, and then brought up with another one, Gabe Kapler and him. I don't think he's just not fit for San Francisco, is what I'll say. Like But as far as talent goes, Zach, I mean, you watch him catch, throw, hit. It's like
extremely talented.
Yeah. So I don't know, not hitting for a ton of power, but playing every day, doing well.
Yeah, and that was the other thing about Parada was that it was most people were very very fringy, very fringy from the catcher perspective defensively. Dude, Virginia is just defensively melting down. Catcher, wild pitch, catcher makes a bad throw, 2-run score.
So I've thrown to both of them, and Joey Bart's a big league catcher. Parada's not. Never could ever catch.
Yeah,
in the big leagues.
Yeah,
but
man, I cannot believe that Boston College is just putting up this many runs. This
is
Virginia.
This is unlike Virginia.
I mean, they are just playing like bad errors. I guess Zach or Kane said the first error that the second baseman made, they ruled a hit, even though it hit him straight in his glove while he was squared up to the ball. But they've realistically made 3 errors so far in 2 innings.
Yeah.
And Boston College is up 7-2. What's the score of the Florida Ole Miss game? I'm gonna go
early in the second inning. If you give Virginia against Boston College 6 innings to work with.
Yeah.
I ain't worried about
Boston College is probably going to need more than 6 runs, right? Or 7 runs.
They just okay.
Nothing. Ole Miss, Florida in the top of the 4th. So these games started about the same time. Florida, Ole Miss is 2 innings ahead.
All right, boys. I'm out for tonight.
All right, Dusty. Thanks for joining, man. See ya.
Hey, thanks for having me, Kyle. We'll talk to everybody. Well, what time's the live tomorrow?
Shoot. Now, I mean, 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock.
Actually,
and we'll probably do a night stream as well.
Actually, 1 o'clock, or
yeah, like 1 o'clock, 1:05, something like that. Yeah.
What time does it start?
1 o'clock.
Okay. All right. Thanks for having me, man.
See you, Dust. Parada will make a big jump. I believe in him. Mets are a different animal. They have had 3 front office changes and all. Yeah, that's true. Wow, Virginia is collapsing. It's mental now, Nancy says. Yeah, 3 p.m. game time tomorrow. Yep. Big situation here in the top of the 4th for Florida and Ole Miss. Florida got runners on first and third, 2 outs, left on left matchup. Can Florida strike first here, get the first run of the game? Nancy, can we hear your story? Are you lifelong tech? O2 count. Probably getting the slider, man. Probably getting the slider. Can you get it done with 2 strikes, 2 outs? Daniel, married tech man. He pitched at Tech, an engineer. His dad, uncle, our youngest son, and daughter-in-law, Georgia Tech grads. I'm a huge fan of Georgia Tech. Been so since marriage, 44 years. Grew up in Florida. Went to Division II school, Florida Southern. That was pretty good in baseball. I'm your mom's age, if not older. Very cool. Glad you're here. Well, it looks like Florida, Ole Miss got out of it. Let's go back to the Boston College Virginia game. I got about 5 minutes left in me, and then I'm calling it a night. If Dusty and Daniel are still here, and to Kyle, what is the status of these players? Thorpe Muskie hasn't pitched all year. Probably going to be in the portal, like just typically what happens. Good arm, throws hard. I don't know why he hasn't pitched, because I saw him in high school, and he was really good. So I don't know why he didn't pitch at all, but again, I do not know why he didn't pitch. Sebastian Lippman, no idea. Joshua Evans, no idea. My mom's 47, so you're young. Not that young. I'm 67. Well, Boston College about to get a shutdown inning. They've already got 2 outs on Virginia. Cole Royer, he's thrown some this year, hadn't thrown a whole lot. Connor Ciccoli was the midweek starter to begin. He's been pretty good out of the bullpen. He's been a lot better out of the bullpen, actually. He did start the game 2 against Duke and did not make it out of the first inning. Ryan Johnson, I think he's pitched a little bit, but again, hasn't pitched a whole lot. Did you have BC on your bingo card? No, I did not. Dimitri Angelikos, do not know. Jackson Blakely, I know he pitched some. I know he pitched some on Saturday or game 2 against Duke. Nancy said Ryan Johnson was cut. Reed Brosnan, Adam McElvey was one of my clients. He hadn't pitched much this year. Joshua Myers. If it's a bullpen arm for Georgia Tech, most of them have not pitched a lot. Jake Lanke, he's pitched some. Porter Bursama, he's pitched some, but he has serious command issues. But the issue is, Canes, with a lot of those guys, they just haven't pitched enough to have any kind of idea of what they offer. Jackson Sobel, Jake Tucker, Michael Kavala. Michael Kavala actually pitched a decent amount last year. He hasn't pitched at all this year. I don't know if he's injured. That's actually funny because I hadn't even thought of him all year, but he pitched a lot last year as a freshman. But most of those guys, I'm not sure, Gaines. Those are all the arms that he has recruited on the last 2 years. How many of them have developed? Love the McElveys. Knew Adam in elementary school. Yeah. Good family. Good family. All right, guys. That's going to be it for me tonight. I'm about to fall asleep. Thanks for joining. Longer stream tonight. Pretty nice guests joining. We'll be back tomorrow, 1 o'clock with the stream. Probably another stream later in the night tomorrow, talking ACC tournament. Obviously, we've got a big Georgia Tech game, so it's going to be a fun day tomorrow. Thanks for joining, guys. I'll